The Mafia queen fell in love with me. I'm an essential oil massage therapist, and all my clients are beauties. Inside the private room, the woman lay on the massage table, exposing her smooth and fair back. "Let's begin," she said, turning her head to look at me when she saw I hadn't moved. I quickly snapped out of my daze, nodded, walked over, and poured some aromatic massage oil onto her perfect back. Her back was smooth and white, with a faint glow to it. As the cool oil dripped onto her skin, her back twitched slightly. I spread the oil with my hands and gently started massaging her back. "My name is Chen Changan, and I am a massage therapist at this club. Of course, I'm a professional massage therapist, providing only legitimate massage services to customers. This is the Yunqian Club, the most luxurious entertainment club in Hangzhou. I've been working here for a full week now. I originally worked as an operations manager at a live streaming company. A week ago, the company I worked for was caught in the wave of intense competition and went under, leaving me unemployed. After quitting, I didn't tell my wife but instead went out every day, hoping to find a new job. Unfortunately, the live streaming industry is highly competitive, with small companies folding one after another. Job openings are harder to find than a prostitute taking clients. One day, as I was passing by Yunqian Club, a woman came out and stopped me. She asked me to call her Sister Lan, saying she was the manager of the club. She said I had a good image and asked if I was interested in working here. I never expected that walking down the street would result in a job offer out of nowhere. After a brief moment of excitement, I hesitated. Yunqian Club is quite famous in Hangzhou. It is said to be a favorite haunt of wealthy women. As for what these wealthy women do there, those who know, know. Although I was unemployed, I would never stoop to becoming a duck to serve those older women. Don't worry, we only need professional massage therapists. The salary is 20,000 a month. What do you think? Sister Lan smiled at me. 20,000 a month. Hearing the offer, I was immediately tempted. Providing only legitimate massage services was undoubtedly a high-paying job. It was far better than my previous job in operations. But I don't know how to do massage. Although the salary was tempting, I had no professional massage skills, and I admitted this to Sister Lan. It's fine, it doesn't matter. We have the most professional massage therapists here to train you, Sister Lan said without any concern. Then I'll give it a try. Although I had some reservations about becoming a massage therapist, I couldn't resist their high salary. After hesitating for a moment, I agreed. That night, I became a massage therapist at Yunqian Club. For the first 2 days, I didn't attend to clients but instead learned massage techniques from an experienced therapist. Massage is actually quite easy. After just 2 days, I had learned most of the basics. On the third day, Sister Lan told me I could start taking clients. At first, I was worried that Sister Lan was tricking me into becoming a duck, but after 2 days, I had a general understanding of the club. The second floor is for legitimate massages, while the third floor is where special services take place. Only those working on the third floor are the ducks. On my first day attending clients, I had my first customer. She was a woman wearing a bright red chapao. The woman was stunning, her skin as flawless as the finest porcelain, glowing with a faint light. Her face was bare, with only her lips painted in striking crimson. Her snow-white skin, bright red lips, and the bold red chapao, paired with a pair of long, red high heels, made her appear dangerously beautiful, the kind of beauty that made it hard to look directly at her. She gazed at me, her expression unreadable, yet she gave off a cold aura, even making one feel an inexplicable sense of danger. The woman before me resembled an iceberg or perhaps a beautiful and dangerous poisonous snake. She was untouchable, mysterious, and alluring. She nodded as she saw me enter and walked into the bathroom, where she turned on the shower. Aromatic oil massages are different from other types of massage. You must first clean the body so the oils can spread perfectly. Not long after, the woman came out, wrapped in a towel, her hair tied up, exposing her long neck. The sight of a beautiful woman stepping out of the bath was beyond words. The woman had an ambiguous age to her appearance. In terms of looks, it was hard to tell her exact age. She had the youthful innocence of a woman in her 20s and the maturity of a 30-year-old. She was truly a rare, enchanting woman. She lay down on the massage table, the towel fell away, revealing her back. Her figure was near perfect, and she exuded both sensuality and charm, yet there was an air of icy aloofness, making her seem untouchable. I stared at her for several seconds, unable to regain my composure. "Let's begin," she said softly. I walked over, poured the oil onto her back, and started the massage. Since she was my first client, I was very careful, worried that I might apply too much pressure and cause discomfort. Fortunately, the woman did not show any sign of dissatisfaction during the massage. As we continued, she even closed her eyes, her breathing becoming soft as she drifted off to sleep. I stopped, pulled a blanket over her, and sat by her side, quietly observing her profile. Her beauty was breathtaking, and in profile, she seemed even more enigmatic, adding a sense of mystery to her allure. It was the kind of beauty that made one feel as if they were glimpsing something they shouldn't, stirring emotions within. Who exactly was this woman, and how could she be so beautiful? Though I was deeply impressed by her beauty, I dared not have any improper thoughts or fantasies. A woman like her surely had a significant background. She could very well be a high-profile figure's mistress. If I crossed a line with her, I might lose my job, and worse, I might not even know how I ended up in trouble. The woman slept quietly for about half an hour, her eyelashes fluttering before she opened her eyes. "You were asleep," I said with a smile when she woke up. The woman sat up, holding the towel, and nodded. "Your massage technique is good. I'll ask for you every day from now on," she said. The chance to massage such a beautiful woman every day was something I could only dream of. I replied, "Of course, it's my pleasure to serve you." I initially thought she was just saying it casually, but to my surprise, from that day on, she indeed became my regular customer, and the only one. Chapter 2, Caught in the Act. Since that day, the woman indeed came to the club every day, and each time she would request me for a massage. A week had passed, and apart from her, I hadn't attended to any other clients. I was feeling a bit uneasy. After all, other massage therapists here often have several appointments a day, while I only had one client per day, which seemed unusual. With a monthly salary of $20,000, I certainly didn't want to lose this job. But for some reason, I couldn't get any other clients, only that one woman. I went to ask Sister Lan about it. Sister Lan smiled at me and reassured me, saying that I didn't need to worry. The woman was a VIP client of the club, and all I had to do was take care of her. Even if I didn't attend to other clients, it wouldn't matter. With Sister Lan's reassurance, I finally relaxed. It seemed that the woman really had a significant background, which explained why the club treated her with such importance. From that day on, she was the only client I had. I became the most idle massage therapist in the whole club. Around 6 p.m. one day, the woman didn't show up, so I asked Sister Lan for leave, packed up, and left work. I went to a flower shop and bought a bouquet of flowers. The reason I took leave was because today was my wife Jiu Miao and my first wedding anniversary. We had just been married for a year. When I left home earlier, I told her that I had to work overtime and might not come back, planning to surprise her later. Actually, I had already booked a private room at a hotel nearby, intending to spend our first wedding anniversary together. Jiu Miao and I were college classmates. We dated for 3 years in college, and after graduation, we got together. There were many people who pursued Jiu Miao back then, but in the end, she chose me. A year of marriage, though we didn't earn a lot, we were very happy. I believed that as long as I worked hard, I could give her a happy future. I walked up to the door with the flowers, took out my key, and opened the door. As soon as I entered, I saw a pair of men's leather shoes on the floor. Someone's visiting. I thought nothing of it, changed into indoor slippers, and walked inside. The bedroom door was half open, and I could hear soft, rhythmic moans coming from inside, both a woman's and a man's, mixed with the sound of the bed slamming against the wall. The sounds hit me like a thunderstrike. I felt as if my blood had turned to ice. I dropped the flowers in my hand and rushed to the bedroom door. The two people on the bed were so caught up in their passion that they didn't even notice me. They kept moving intensely. I stood there, staring at their passionate display, the sounds of Jiu Mia's moans hitting me like a series of thunderclaps. I saw the man clearly. I'd met him before. He was Liu, the manager at Jiu Mia's company. His full name was Liu, and Jiu Miao had mentioned many times that he was a good man and that he took care of her. I couldn't believe it. They had become so close, they could end up in bed together. "Fuck you!" I screamed. The pair on the bed were so startled by my shout that they froze. Liuan jumped up from the bed, while Jiu Miao screamed, grabbing the blanket to cover herself. I was trembling with rage, and I rushed at Lewin, kicking him in the groin. Lewin let out a painful cry, bent over, and collapsed onto the bed, curled up like a boiled shrimp. "I'll fucking kill you." I grabbed a vase from the bedside table and was about to smash it on Lewin's head. "Stop!" Gu Mia screamed, rushing over and tightly hugging me. "You filthy bitch, get off!" I shouted at her. "Leave, just go." Gu Mia yelled at Lewin. Lewin snapped out of his shock and, without daring to stay, grabbed his clothes and rushed out, naked. I was about to chase after him when Gu Mia stopped me. She collided with the nightstand and shouted at me, "Chen Chang'an, do you think chasing him will change anything? Do you think you can really kill him?" I turned around and looked at Gu Miao. She sat there on the bed, completely naked, no longer frantic. Instead, she looked strangely calm. The wedding photo that had been on the nightstand was now on the floor, crushed under her bare foot. In the photo, Gu Miao and I were kissing, both smiling with happiness. But now, that photo was nothing but an enormous mockery. "Why? Why did you do this?" I shouted at Gu Miao. We had been in a relationship for 5 years and married for 1. For 6 years, I had treated her as my one and only. I never thought she would betray me. But today, I had witnessed her in bed with another man, and it was our wedding anniversary. I couldn't bear it. "I'm sorry, Chen Chang'an. I was wrong, but since you found out, let's get a divorce," Gu Mia said flatly. "Divorce? You think after what you've done, I can still stay with you? The divorce should be something I say." I yelled. "All right, if you're in agreement, we'll meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow morning," Gu Mia said, without hesitation. I stared at her. The woman I once loved more than anything now, she disgusted me. I felt sick to my stomach. I walked up to her and slapped her hard across the face. Since we started dating, I had never once raised my voice at her, let alone hit her. This was the first time. But now, I felt no pity, only a sense of relief after venting my anger. "You slut!" I yelled angrily. "Yes, I'm a slut. So what? With you, I can only live in this rented apartment, but with Lewin, he promised to buy me a house in Hangzhou. What can you give me? What gives you the right to hit me?" Gu Mia said, covering her face, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Fine. I fucking wish you and that bastard Liu a lifetime of happiness," I said, turning around and walking out of the home we once shared. What happened today shattered my world. Gu Mia's words made me lose all lingering attachment to her. Our life together was truly over. I walked aimlessly down the street, like a zombie. Before I knew it, I found myself at Yunqian Club. I had nowhere else to go. They had a special rest area for us, and tonight, I would have to spend the night here. I wandered up to the second floor, heading to the rest area, when I ran into a woman. She was wearing a red chapeau, with a high slit that exposed her glaringly white thighs. It was the only client I had, the woman I had been massaging every day. As I passed by her, I looked up and forced a smile. But I knew that smile was more painful than a frown. "What's wrong?" the woman stopped and asked. Although she was my client, we were strangers otherwise. I had no intention of telling her what had happened. "Nothing." I shook my head, weakly replying. "You weren't here earlier. I waited for you a long time. Now that you're here, will you massage me?" she said, turning and walking towards me. Chapter 3: An Unexpected Encounter in the Bar. I stared at the woman, my mind going blank for a few seconds. Right now, I was feeling very confused. I really didn't want to serve her. But she was, after all, my regular customer, my only customer. I couldn't refuse her request. "All right, then go wait for me in the room for a while," I forced a smile and said to her. She nodded and walked straight ahead. "I'm in room 305, she said as she walked. I went to the locker room, changed into my work clothes, grabbed the massage oils, and headed to room 305. Inside, the woman had already taken a shower. She was wrapped in a bath towel and lying on the massage bed. I untied the towel and exposed her back. Although she was stunningly beautiful, I just wasn't in the mood. I squeezed some essential oil onto her back and started the massage. "You seem to have encountered something today," the woman said in a soft voice. Although I had been massaging her for a week, she had always lain there quietly without saying much. Most of the time, she would just fall asleep lightly. We hadn't really exchanged many words before. Yeah, something happened at home, I said with a wry smile. Can you tell me what happened? She asked, her voice still calm. I remained silent for a moment, unsure of how to start. I'm just curious, but if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine, she added. I sighed. Since I had already decided to divorce Ji Meow, there was no reason I couldn't tell someone else about it. Still, as a man, it felt somewhat embarrassing to admit that I had been cuckolded. But we didn't know each other well apart from the massages, and since she wanted to hear, there was no harm in telling her. More than anything, I was feeling frustrated, and I needed someone to talk to. It's my wife. She cheated on me, and I caught her in the act, I sighed and told her. That's a sad story, the woman said faintly. We continued talking. She was a very good listener, not speaking much, mostly just quietly listening to me vent. At first, I felt a bit awkward, but by the end, I had told her nearly everything about my life with Ji Meow, the love we shared in college, our married life, my losing my job and coming here to work as a massage therapist without telling Ji Meow, and then finally confronting her today. After I finished, the woman said softly, if that's the case, it's clear you two are not suited for each other. Separation is a good choice for both of you. I could understand what she meant. But deep down, I still felt resentful. For all these years, I had only cared about Ji Meow. I was willing to do anything for our relationship, even work as a massage therapist here. And in the end, this is the result I got. There's nothing to be resentful about. She's after material things, and you couldn't fulfill that for her, so separation is the best choice for both of you, the woman continued, sitting up with the bath towel wrapped around her. I couldn't help but glance at her bare shoulders, and for a moment, my mind wandered. All right, let's leave it at that for today. I think you should go have a drink now, she said. I nodded, got up, and left the room. The woman always gave off a cold vibe. She was the type to offer emotional support, and I didn't expect any comfort from her. I just needed someone to listen and vent my frustrations, and it had lightened my mood a little. I walked back to the rest area, changed back into my clothes, and realized that what she said made sense. I did need a drink right now. I left the club, and it was already dark outside. The streets were lit up, but my soul felt lost. I walked along the street, heading towards the bar I remembered. Apart from a couple of visits to a bar with my college friends, I hadn't been to one since I got married. Ji Meow didn't like me going to bars, saying that the people who went there weren't decent, so I always listened to her. But now, thinking back, I felt like a fool. Ji Meow was already in bed with another man, and here I was, afraid to even step into a bar. How stupid could I be? I reached the bar and pushed open the door. There were quite a few people inside. I wondered if anyone else was as lost as I felt. I ordered a vodka. I needed something strong to numb myself. I gulped down half the glass. The strong alcohol almost made me gag, its sharp taste burning down my throat. That fiery sensation seemed to bring me back to life, as if my lost soul was returning to my body. A few young, attractive women in revealing outfits noticed me and started approaching one by one, sitting next to me, throwing me flirtatious glances, asking me if I could buy them a drink. They were all beautiful, and under the dim bar lights, the atmosphere was subtly suggestive. I turned them all down, not because I didn't feel desire, but because I wasn't in the mood for anything like that. All I wanted was to drink and get completely drunk. I took another sip of my drink and lit a cigarette. Sometimes, that's just how things go. When you really want to get drunk, it's surprisingly hard to do. After finishing one drink, I didn't feel any drunk at all. In fact, I felt more and more awake. I looked toward the door, and at that moment, the bar's door swung open. A woman walked in. She looked to be about 25 or 26, tall and slim. Unlike the other women in the bar, she wore a white short skirt that exposed her long, shapely legs. As she opened the door, the night breeze swept in, ruffling her long hair and the hem of her skirt, giving her an air of purity that seemed out of place in this bar. She was beautiful, her features delicate. Though she wore only light makeup, she gave off an extraordinary, striking impression at first glance. She seemed somewhat out of place in this bar. The unexpected appearance of the woman caught my attention. I couldn't take my eyes off her as she walked in and then headed straight toward me. It seemed she noticed my gaze because she looked at me and frowned slightly, displeased. I smiled, but didn't look away. In a place like this, when a beautiful woman shows up, isn't it natural to admire her? What are you staring at, pervert? The woman said, walking up to me with a frown, her eyes carrying a hint of annoyance. Would you like to have a drink with me? I raised my glass at her. She snorted, ignored me, and with her long legs, walked away toward the back. Another feisty beauty, I thought, smiling to myself. I went back to my drink. Hey, beautiful, come drink with us. Just then, I heard a sleazy voice from behind, followed by the sound of a few men laughing. Chapter 4, Is it B or C? I turned my head to look. The woman from earlier was being blocked by a sleazy-looking guy. This man was clearly a thug, and his eyes were constantly scanning the woman's long legs beneath her skirt. What are you looking at, you dirty pervert? The woman scolded angrily. I couldn't help but roll my eyes because her words were exactly the same as what she had said to me earlier. However, the thug across from her didn't seem as easygoing as me. He had a lascivious grin on his face, leering at her. Hey, what's the rush? You're here for some excitement, aren't you? Come home with me, I'll make sure you get all the excitement you want, he said, trying to grab her hand. The woman was caught off guard and took a few steps back, but the thug wasn't planning to back off and kept closing in on her. What the hell do you think you're doing? I stood up and pulled the woman behind me. If this were in the past, I probably wouldn't have bothered to intervene. But today, I was boiling with frustration. After drinking, I had the strong impulse to pick a fight. And besides, this guy looked scrawny, like a chicken. I was confident I could take him down easily. The thug sized me up from head to toe with a disdainful look. Who the hell are you? Stay out of this, or you'll regret it. She asked my girlfriend. You'd better leave, or I'll make sure you regret it, I said, my tone full of authority. I actually hoped he'd make a move so I could get into a good fight and let off some steam. She asked your girlfriend. The thug looked skeptical. Got a problem with that? I said as I turned around and grabbed the woman's hand. She hesitated slightly, but didn't pull away, letting me hold her hand. Her fingers were slender and soft. Holding her hand felt unexpectedly wonderful. Now, are you leaving or not? I held her hand tightly and glared at the thug. The thug was intimidated by my aura and lost his bravado. Fine, you're tough. We'll see about this, he spat, before hastily leaving the bar, clearly afraid of me. What a letdown, I thought to myself. I shook my head. I hadn't expected him to back down so quickly. I had been looking forward to a good fight. You can let go of my hand now. Just as I was lost in thought, the woman spoke up. I finally realized I was still holding her hand. I smiled at her and quickly let go. Her lingering warmth stayed on my hand, and I couldn't help but bring it up to my nose and take a quick sniff. She still smelled nice. She looked at me, her brows slightly furrowed. Pervert. Hey, I just saved you, and you're already turning your back on me. I said with a hint of helplessness as I sat back down. She snorted, but didn't leave. Instead, she sat directly across from me. She crossed her long legs, and I found myself slightly distracted. What's this? I asked her. Are you here alone? She asked. I nodded. Me too. Why don't we drink together? She suggested. With such a beautiful woman offering to drink with me, there was no way I'd refuse unless I was out of my mind, so I nodded in agreement. She called the server over and ordered 2 bottles of wine. She poured herself a drink, took a sip, and then looked at me. Why are you here alone? Did you get dumped? Something even worse. I'm getting a divorce tomorrow, I said with a wry smile. The woman paused for a moment when she heard this, a hint of apology crossing her face. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up. It's fine. It's all ending anyway, I waved it off. Actually, I'm in a similar situation. I just broke up with my boyfriend, the woman said, finishing her drink in one go. And so, 2 broken-hearted souls sat across from each other and drank. Alcohol works wonders in bridging the gap between people. After a few drinks, we opened up and talked freely. I learned her name, Mafia. It was a lovely name. She had been dumped by her boyfriend of over a year, who had cheated on her with her best friend. I squinted, looking Mafia up and down. Hey, what are you doing? You're really starting to look like a pervert, Mu Xiaowan said, pretending to be alarmed and pulling at her skirt. Don't misunderstand, I just think your ex-boyfriend has a problem with his eyes. How could he cheat on you when he had such a beautiful girlfriend? Is he blind? Phut. My words made Mu Xiaowan burst out laughing. The drink she had just sipped flew out of her mouth and splashed onto her clothes. Instinctively, I grabbed a napkin and began to wipe it off. But after only wiping it a couple of times, the softness of her skin made me snap back to reality. Shit, I've drunk too much. What am I doing? I stopped, looking at Mu Xiaowan. She was staring at me, her mouth slightly open, clearly startled by my actions. Oh, don't misunderstand. It wasn't intentional. I quickly withdrew my hand and explained. HMPH, pervert. I knew I wasn't wrong about you. Mu Xiaowan scrunched her adorable nose. Although she was angry, there was a playful look on her face that only added to her beauty. I really didn't mean it, I continued to explain, but no matter how I put it, my excuse seemed weak. HMPH, whatever. I'll forgive you this time, seeing as you helped me out earlier, Mu Xiaowan said with a roll of her eyes. I smiled and asked, how old are you? Mu Xiaowan was wiping the wine off her chest as she answered, 26. I stared at her actions and reflexively said, no way, you look like you're 36. Do I look that old? Mu Xiaowan stopped for a moment, looking at me with confusion. Actually, I meant 36B, I added. You jerk, it's C. Mu Xiaowan's face flared with anger, and by the look of it, she could have eaten me alive. No wonder, I nodded. No wonder what? Mu Xiaowan asked. No wonder it feels so good, I said, laughing, even raising my hand to gesture. Normally, I never tease a woman like this. But today, after drinking, my mind wasn't clear, and I found it hard to control myself. And, of course, facing someone as beautiful as Mu Xiaowan, most men would struggle to keep their composure. Mu Xiaowan's face flushed slightly, and a touch of shyness made her look even more captivating. You pervert. If you say anything more, I'll report you for harassment, she said, pouting angrily. All right, I won't say anything else. You're just too beautiful, it's hard to resist, I quickly apologized. HMPH, although you're a pervert, your taste is pretty good, Mu Xiaowan said, a slight smile curling at the corner of her lips. Chapter 5 sent her to their hotel. Mu Xiaowan and I chatted casually, two completely strangers, but two people who were equally lost seemed to have endless things to say. At this time, we became the objects of each other's confession. Unconsciously, the 2 bottles of wine she ordered were already empty. The more I drank, the more sober I felt, while Mu Xiaowan opposite was obviously drunk. Mu Xiaowan wanted to call the bartender over, and I quickly stopped her. She was already very drunk, and I was afraid something would happen if she drank more. Okay, stop drinking, I have something to do tomorrow. I said. Oh, I forgot, you still have to get a divorce tomorrow, I will go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to find you tomorrow morning. Mu Xiaowan said to me with a drunken face. Why are you looking for me? I asked. I'll wait for you at the door of the Civil Affairs Bureau. When you finish the divorce, I'll go up and say I'm your girlfriend, so that you can slap your ex-wife hard. Do you think it's cool? Mu Xiaowan said with a smile. I have to admit that Mu Xiaowan is far better than Ji Yumiao in both appearance and temperament, and she is younger than Ji Yumiao. It would be great if she pretended to be my girlfriend and slapped Ji Yumiao in the face. This kind of scene is very common in novels nowadays, and it is a classic scene for slapping people in the face. However, I didn't take her words seriously. We didn't have any relationship. Today was just the first time we met. We sat together and drank a glass of wine. It was unrealistic to want her to help me slap people in the face, and I didn't think it would make any sense. The most important thing is that she is drunk now, and I guess she won't remember what she said today tomorrow. I'll go find you. I'll definitely go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to find you tomorrow. Mu Xiaowan said, and then she lost her voice and fell directly on the table and fell asleep. Hey, sister, wake up, you can't do this. Seeing her drunk, I was stunned for a moment. It's unrealistic to leave her here, but I don't know where her home is if I want to send her home. I called her a few more times, but Mu Xiaowan lay on the table without any response. It was already 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had no choice but to help her and go to the front desk to settle the bill. When we walked out of the bar, Mu Xiaowan was still not awake, and her whole body was hanging on me. I really had no choice but to put one of her hands on my shoulder and one hand around her waist, waiting for a taxi on the roadside. I planned to take her to the hotel. Putting my hand on Mu Xiaowan's waist, feeling the fullness of her skin, my heart couldn't help but move slightly. After a while, the taxi came, and I helped Mu Xiaowan sit in the back seat and said the name of the nearest hotel. The driver started the car and kept looking at us through the rearview mirror. The smile on his face looked a little obscene no matter how you looked at it. I knew what he meant, but I couldn't explain it in this situation. What's more, Mu Xiaowan was not honest at all when she was drunk. She hugged me and rubbed against me. "Brother, you are so lucky today," the driver said with envy. "What did you say?" I was stunned. I have met many people who pick up corpses, but this is the first time I have seen such a top-notch woman. "You are so lucky, brother." I looked at the driver and was stunned for a moment. I knew he had misunderstood me. Just when I was about to refute, Mu Xiaowan directly hugged my neck and said in my ear, "It was not him who picked me up, but I picked him up." As soon as these words came out, the driver and I were stunned. The driver smiled meaningfully. I thought Mu Xiaowan woke up and hurried to call her, but she lay on my shoulder and fell asleep again. The car arrived at the hotel quickly, and I helped Mu Xiaowan out of the car. The driver unscrewed the car window and shouted to me, "Brother, enjoy it tonight." "Brother, you misunderstood, it's not what you think." I explained. I understand, remember to take safety measures." After the driver finished speaking, he stepped on the accelerator and rushed out. What the hell is this? I smiled bitterly and shook my head, helping Mu Xiaowan into their hotel. With the ambiguous expression on their hotel front desk, I booked a big bedroom and prepared to put Mu Xiaowan in and come out. When I arrived at the room, I put Mu Xiaowan on the bed and pulled the quilt over her. Her feet were exposed outside the quilt, and she was wearing a pair of pink slender high heels. I walked up to her, hesitated for a moment, and squatted down to help her take off her shoes. It was a bit cold at night, and I was afraid that she would catch a cold. I held her ankle in my hand, and the drunk Mu Xiaowan seemed to notice it and slightly retracted her foot. I quickly let go of my hand, thinking that she woke up. If she misunderstood, it would be bad. But Mu Xiaowan just turned over and continued to sleep. I smiled bitterly, squatted down again, and helped her take off both high heels. She was not wearing socks. After taking off her shoes, a pair of snow-white little feet appeared in front of me. It is said that beauty lies in the feet, and why the ancients pursued 3-inch golden lotus. Today I have seen it. Her feet are beautiful, thin and even. Under the light of the hotel, they are like the best Hachin jade, with a layer of light fluorescence, which makes people obsessed. I held her feet, stunned for a moment, shook my head to get rid of the bad thoughts in my mind, and then put her feet into the quilt. After doing this, I breathed a sigh of relief, stood up, and looked at her again. Just this one look scared me. I saw Mu Xiaowan lying on the bed, her cheeks flushed, looking straight at me. "You, don't misunderstand, I'm just afraid that you will catch a cold," I hurriedly explained to her. Her face was slightly red from drunkenness, as if she had applied a light rouge, which made her seem to have some unknown charm at this time. "I'm thirsty, pour me a glass of water," Mu Xiaowan said to me in a drunken state. I quickly poured her a glass of water and handed it to her. Mu Xiaowan sat up on the bed, tilting her neck back and drinking water in big gulps. Her snow-white and slender neck was like a work of art, especially when the water dripped from the corner of her mouth and slid down her neck. There was a striking beauty that made my heart palpitate. Mu Xiaowan was a beautiful woman, and also a woman who could easily arouse people's desires. However, she did not have the smell of worldly things on her, and was the kind of woman who was lustful but not coquettish. And it was often this kind of woman who made men most likely to indulge themselves. I kept criticizing her ex-boyfriend in my heart. What kind of vision that guy had? Such a beautiful girlfriend actually took the initiative to break up. It was really hard to understand. Mu Xiaowan was indeed thirsty, and drank a glass of water in one breath. Then she put down the glass and looked at me quietly. The next moment, she lifted the quilt, stood on the ground with two long legs, with a faint smile on her face, and walked towards me step by step. I looked at her, and I felt dry mouth and my heart was pounding. Chapter 6. Are you really not good enough? I watched her walk towards me, my heart pounding. What was she going to do? Wine can make people lose their temper. Could it be that she wanted to do something to me? She was such a beautiful woman, I had no reason to refuse her, but I really didn't have the heart to do so now. Are you okay? I'll go back first. I stood up in a panic and walked towards the door. But now I was a little confused. I forgot to open the door and just bumped into it. With a bang, I felt a pain in my head. The pain in my head was nothing, but the shame made me feel a little at a loss for a moment. Mu Xiaowan's loud laughter sounded behind me. I looked back and saw that she had bent over with laughter, and even tears came out of her eyes. Why, am I that scary? Mu Xiaowan said to me while laughing. I was just distracted by other things. I explained weakly. Oh, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about me? Mu Xiaowan stood up and lifted her hair, looking very charming. I felt dry in my mouth again, and I opened my mouth but didn't know what to say. Mu Xiaowan is a very beautiful woman, and anyone who is not blind can see this. And she has a pure temperament and is full of youthful vitality. Now that she is drunk, her cheeks are slightly flushed, but she adds a special charm, which is fatal to any man. Why don't you speak? Are you afraid, or are you not good enough? Mu Xiaowan still said to me in a charming way. What men can't accept the most is being called timid, and they can't accept women saying that they are not good enough. Her words immediately made me braver. She is a woman, and now she is the one who takes the initiative. Why should I, a grown man, be so timid? Who said I'm afraid? You haven't tried it, how do you know I can't do it? Why don't you try it? I said to her. Okay, then come on. Mu Xiaowan raised her leg, stepped on the sofa, hooked her finger at me, and her eyes seemed to have hooks. Let it go, don't regret it. I made up my mind and walked towards her. Mu Xiaowan just stepped on the sofa with one foot, looking at me with a smile, motionless, like a beautiful flower, blooming brilliantly, waiting for people to pick it. I walked up to her and said to her, I'm here, what do you want to do? Mu Xiaowan put her head next to my ear, and her body almost stuck to me. You can do whatever you want. She exhaled like orchids, and her breath hit my ears, making half of my body numb. My nervous palms were sweating. Such a beautiful woman was in front of you, ready to be picked by you. If I can still hold back, I'm not a man. I took a deep breath, stretched out my hands, and was about to hug her. And Mu Xiaowan looked at me and frowned slightly. I felt something was wrong, but before I could react, Mu Xiaowan opened her mouth and vomited all over me. I lost all my thoughts and helped her to the bathroom. In the bathroom, Mu Xiaowan vomited until she collapsed in front of the toilet. I looked at the messy bathroom and myself, and I felt helpless. What the hell was going on? I took off my coat and helped Mu Xiaowan up. This time she was really drunk. I simply washed her face, dragged her to the bed, gave myself a bath, and cleaned up the bathroom. After doing all this, I returned to the room. Mu Xiaowan had fallen asleep on the bed, with her two big white legs exposed. I sighed, and now I had no thoughts in my mind. I pulled the quilt over her and then lay on the sofa. I was planning to leave, but when I thought about how I didn't even have a home now, the rest room in the club was not as good as here, so I just stayed here for the night. Besides, Mu Xiaowan was so drunk, who knew if she would get up and make trouble? After drinking and the tossing and turning just now, I felt exhausted, and fell asleep not long after lying down. I felt very tired in a daze, as if my chest was pressed by a mountain. The oppression became stronger and stronger, making it difficult for me to breathe. I screamed in my sleep and woke up suddenly. When I opened my eyes, I felt something was wrong. There was a person lying on me. The person was lying on me, with his head buried in my chest, his thighs spread apart and pressed on my legs, and his arms tightly hugged my waist. It was Mu Xiaowan. I didn't know when she ran on me, lying on me like an octopus. Feeling the temperature on her body, my heart couldn't help but get hot. At this time, Mu Xiaowan also woke up, raised her head, looked at me with sleepy eyes, and looked confused. R. After a while, Mu Xiaowan let out a scream that almost pierced my eardrums, and jumped on me. You hooligan, what did you do to me last night? Mu Xiaowan crossed her arms and asked me nervously and pitifully. My ears were buzzing because of her scream, and it took me a long time to recover. The decibel of a woman's high pitch is really terrifying. Looking at Mu Xiaowan's expression of being bullied, I was a little helpless, rubbed my temples and sat up. Sister, you were drunk and unconscious yesterday. I don't know where your home is, so I had to send you to the hotel. I said to her helplessly. I was drunk, and you picked up the body and took me to get a room, right? You are so shameless. Mu Xiaowan kept checking her body. Hey, don't talk nonsense, okay? I didn't do anything last night. I explained to her helplessly. You really didn't do anything. Mu Xiaowan's expression was a little relaxed, but she was still a little confused. Sister, if I did something to you, wouldn't you feel it? What's more, you didn't take off your clothes, what could I do? I shook my head. Mu Xiaowan touched herself again and really didn't find anything unusual. Then why did I sleep on you? Mu Xiaowan pointed at the sofa. This time I felt even more wronged, and said to her helplessly, last night you slept on the bed and I slept on the sofa. God knows how you got on me. I looked at Mu Xiaowan for a few times, and a sly look flashed in my eyes. You mean, I was drunk and unconscious last night, and you took me back to the hotel, and then I slept on you all night? Mu Xiaowan asked. Yes, that's the situation. I nodded and answered. That's it, you didn't do anything to me, can't you, really? Mu Xiaowan covered her mouth in surprise. Chapter 7. A woman as beautiful as a demon. After being provoked by Mu Xiaowan one after another, even if I were made of clay, I would still be a little angry. I walked towards him directly. Let's try it and you will know whether it works or not. Seeing that I was going to get serious, Mu Xiaowan was so scared that she stepped back and sat on the bed. I told you not to mess around, otherwise I will sue you for indecent assault. Mu Xiaowan was a little panicked. I deliberately frightened her. Compared to going to jail, I think it's more hurtful to be told no by you, and you are so beautiful, I think it's worth going to jail for you. I approached her with a lewd smile, like a flower thief. This time, Mu Xiaowan was really panicked and picked up the pillow and hugged it to her chest. I told you not to mess around. If you dare to do anything to me, I really won't let you go. It's too late to be scared now. I gradually approached. Mu Xiaowan turned her head and looked out the window. Hey, didn't you say you were going to get a divorce today? Do you regret it? Mu Xiaowan's words were like a bucket of cold water, pouring down on my head, making me no longer want to mess with her. I'm going to get a divorce today. I ignored Mu Xiaowan and turned around to take the clean coat. I'm leaving. Don't drink alone outside in the future. The next time you meet someone, maybe he won't be like me. I said and walked out directly. I didn't ask Mu Xiaowan for any contact information. Last night, we just ran into each other occasionally. Although we spent the night together after she got drunk, nothing happened between us. In the end, we are two complete strangers, and I don't have any intention to have a closer relationship with her now. Now I just want to completely resolve our marriage with that bitch Jiu Miao. I walked out of the hotel directly and took a taxi to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Jiu Miao was already waiting for me at the door, holding the household registration booklet and our marriage certificate. When she saw me, she turned around and walked in without saying a word. I followed her and went through the formalities at the divorce registration office, exchanging the original marriage certificate for a divorce certificate. From this moment on, Jiu Miao and I had no relationship at all. When I got the divorce certificate, I felt a little emotional. After all, this was my first marriage, and Jiu Miao was the first woman I had ever loved. But now, this woman has made me no longer have any nostalgia, and I feel sick even when I see her. Because no matter what, I will never forget the moment when I caught her cheating on me in bed. At that moment, all the beauty of her in my heart was broken. Chen Changan, this is 10,000 yuan, take it. At the door of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Jiu Miao took out a stack of money from his bag and handed it to me. What do you mean by this? Breakup fee. If you want to give it, I will give it to you. I don't even look down on your dirty money, I said coldly. Jiu Miao raised her lips and showed a mocking smile. Chen Changan, why are you pretending? Do you think I don't know that you have lost your job? I looked at Jiu Miao, a little surprised. I didn't expect that she would know that I was unemployed. You shouldn't have much money now. After all, you are my ex-husband. If you live on the street, it's my man who is lost. Take this money. Jiu Miao looked condescending. Looking at her eyes, I felt an inexplicable anger in my heart. In order not to make her worry, I didn't dare to tell her that I was unemployed, but became a masseur. But my efforts have now become an excuse for her to laugh at me. At that moment, the anger in my heart seemed to explode. Take your stinky money and get out of here. I couldn't help but curse at her. Chen Changan, what are you pretending for? Do you think I don't know that you have fallen to being a masseur? You have fallen to this point, why are you pretending? If you don't want me, I will take it away. Don't regret it. What's wrong with me being a masseur? I make money with my own ability. My money comes cleanly, unlike you, who makes money by sleeping with men. My words made Ji Yu Miao's face pale. Besides, you have no right to laugh at me. I became a masseur for our family and for our marriage. I have no regrets, and you are a betrayer. Ji Yu Miao was speechless because of my retort, and she put the money back into her bag in anger. Okay, Chen Changan, you can show off. You think I don't know what Yunqian Club is? Who knows whether you are a masseur or a gigolo there? Who do you think is a gigolo? Ji Yu Miao's words made me unable to bear it anymore, and I pushed towards her. You, what are you going to do? Ji Yu Miao was frightened and hurriedly stepped back. At this time, I was so angry that I really wanted to slap her in the face. Just then, a car stopped in front of us. It was a black BMW 5 Series. The car stopped, the door opened, and a man walked out of the car. It was Ji Yu Miao's cheating partner, her company manager Liuan. Ji Yu Miao, are you done? Why did it take so long? Liuan didn't even look at me and walked up to Ji Yu Miao. Looking at the adulterous couple in front of me, I had the urge to kill, but in the end, reason still made me control the urge in my heart. I didn't say another word and turned around and left. You've fallen to the point of being a gigolo, why are you still so noble? You're so good at pretending. Ji Yu Miao's mocking voice sounded behind me. Yes, how can such a person be with you, Ji Yu Miao, your choice is correct. Liuan also said. At this time, my anger could no longer be tolerated. I believe that any man cannot stand being humiliated by his wife and her adulterer. Fuck your mother. I turned around and stared at Liuan. Now I had only one thought in my mind, which was to beat this bastard up. Just when I was about to do it, a crisp brake sound was heard, and then a black, sturdy and oppressive black off-road vehicle stopped in front of us. Mercedes Maybach G650, the world's top off-road vehicle, costs more than 5 million. The beast-like body makes Liuan's BMW 5 Series parked next to it like a docile kitten. The car door opened, and a long white leg walked out of the car window, followed by a bright red. A woman walked out of the car door, a woman wearing a high-slit red cheongsam. Not only did she wear a red cheongsam, but the high-heeled boots on her feet were also red, and even her lips were painted red. The woman's skin was as white as snow, and her thighs exposed outside the cheongsam were dazzlingly white. With the dazzling red dress, she was not tacky at all, but gave her a more seductive beauty. Have you finished the formalities? If you have, follow me. Don't waste your time talking to this kind of bastard. The woman came to me in high heels with a tapping sound. She glanced at Ji Yu Miao and Liuan, frowned slightly, and did not hide her disgust at all. That expression was like seeing a pair of dead mice. Chapter 8. Who is she? The woman's appearance made Ji Yu Miao and Liuan both confused. Not only were they confused, but I was also completely confused. I had no idea what was going on. But I knew the woman who appeared. She was the woman who ordered massage from me every day. Every time I saw her before, I was in the club. Most places in the club were dimly lit, and it was not very real to the senses. Now, the woman stood in the sun, her skin was dazzlingly white, and with her big red flag slope and red lips, she gave people a breathtaking feeling of beauty. That kind of beauty was so beautiful that people dared not look directly at it. Especially the temperament exuded by the woman, noble and cold, with an inexplicable sense of danger, making her look like a colorful, beautiful and venomous snake that people dared not approach. What are you doing? Follow me. The woman said to me. Hearing her words, I subconsciously raised my foot and walked towards her. Okay, Chen Changan, you shameless thing, you said I was not a good wife, but it turned out that you had a wild woman a long time ago. As soon as I took a step, Ji Yu Miao's angry voice sounded behind me. I ignored Ji Yu Miao because I was a little confused now. I thought, damn it, I wanted her to be my woman, but how could such a woman have anything to do with me? It's just that this matter can't be explained, and the current situation can't be explained. I don't know why the woman suddenly appeared here, and I don't know why she talked to me. However, I know that from Ji Miao's perspective, she will definitely think that I have an unclear relationship with the woman. I was afraid that Ji Miao would offend the woman, so I smiled at her and told her not to care. But the woman frowned and was obviously angry. What did you say? The woman asked Ji Miao indifferently. I said you are that cowardly wild woman. You even like a waste like him. I'm afraid you are not a good person. Ji Miao's tone was sarcastic and full of sarcasm. Shut up. I turned around and yelled at Ji Miao. The woman's face became more and more ugly. I could see that she was really angry. Why should I shut up, Chen Changan? Are you afraid of others talking about the shit you did? Ji Miao was like a shrew, and it was clear that she wanted to have a big fight with me. Shut up. Just when I wanted to say something, Liuan, who had been standing next to Ji Miao, yelled at her. At this moment, not only Ji Miao was confused, I was also confused. I didn't know what was going on and why Liuan yelled at Ji Miao. Liuan, how dare you talk to me like that? Ji Miao's face was full of disbelief. Shut up. Liuan didn't explain at all, but slapped Ji Miao directly. The sound of his palm landing on Ji Miao's face was crisp, and it could be heard that he didn't hold back any strength. Ji Miao staggered 2 steps after being hit by the slap, covered his face with his hands, and looked at Liuan in disbelief. If it was before, I would definitely rush up to fight him without hesitation when I saw Ji Miao being beaten. But now, when I saw Ji Miao being beaten, I only felt an indescribable sense of pleasure in my heart. Ji Miao's face was full of disbelief, but Liuan ignored her, but walked directly to us and bowed to the woman standing in front of me. I'm sorry, I offended you, please forgive me. Liuan seemed very nervous, his face was slightly pale, and cold sweat flowed down his head. Get out. The woman didn't even look at Liuan, she just uttered one word. Liuan was obviously terrified to the extreme, without saying a word, turned around and pulled Ji Miao into the car. Ji Miao was already stunned by the slap, and was pulled into the car by Liuan without saying a word. Are you still not leaving? The woman turned her head and looked at me, with a faint smile on her lips. Where? I said subconsciously. I'm a little tired, give me a massage. After the woman finished speaking, she walked towards the car. The door of the cab opened, and a bald man over 1.9 meters tall walked down. The man was wearing a black suit, with a burly figure, looking like a black bear, and seemed to contain terrifying power all over his body. The most exaggerated thing is that there is a beautiful peony tattooed on his shiny bald head. The peony is light blue and blooms on the top of his head. A man with terrifying power, with a peony tattooed on his head, makes him look like a strong demon. The woman is as beautiful as a demon, and he gives people the feeling of being as strong as a demon. He got out of the car, opened the passenger door, and let the woman in. Then he turned around and grinned at me, are you not leaving yet? Although he was smiling, the strong sense of oppression on his body still made me feel a throbbing in my temples. Although I like to exercise and have learned a few martial arts moves, I have no doubt that I will never be able to withstand a single move from him. He should be the woman's bodyguard. I made a conclusion about the man in my heart, nodded politely to him, then walked to the front of the car and sat in the back. How come you are here? In the car, the bald man started the car, and I asked the woman carefully. Her appearance today made me feel relieved in front of Ji Miao and Liuan, the adulterous couple, but I didn't know who she was. And there is no relationship between the two of us, at most it is just the relationship between a masseur and a customer. So no matter how you look at it, she has no reason to stand up for me. Don't think too much, I just happened to pass by here, and I didn't expect to meet you. Is that woman your wife? The woman said lightly. I smiled bitterly, now she should be considered an ex-wife, we have completed the divorce procedures. Yeah. The woman nodded gently and stopped talking. She didn't say anything, and I didn't ask anything else, but I was still a little confused. Is it really such a coincidence that she just happened to pass by here today? And the identity of the woman also made me more curious. Yunqian Club is one of the most high-end clubs in Hangzhou. People who usually come and go here are dignitaries. Sister Lan is the general manager of Yunqian and is also a person of some status. But she respects women very much, and even allows me to serve her alone. And just now, the fear that Liuan showed after seeing the woman made me curious about the woman's identity. Who is she? There is no doubt that the woman's identity must be very important, otherwise Sister Lan would not respect her so much and Yuan would not be so afraid of her. In the whole city of Hangzhou, there should be only a handful of people who can afford such a car and have a bodyguard as powerful as the bold man. Could the woman be a canary raised by some big boss in Hangzhou? There are countless businessmen and big bosses in Hangzhou, so naturally there are canaries raised by these big bosses. Just a moment later, I shook my head again, thinking it was a little unlikely. The woman is very beautiful. If we only talk about her appearance, she is definitely above 9 points, and she can kill many movie stars in seconds. But the woman's temperament is enough to prove that she definitely did not get to the top by serving men. She is cold and noble, and is not the kind of woman who relies on beauty to seduce men. Such a woman does not need to please men at all, and it is even more impossible for her to get to the top by relying on men through sex appeal. Who is she? Although I have a lot of doubts in my heart, I know very well that the woman is definitely a great god in Hangzhou, and I must not offend her. What are you thinking about? We're here, get off. The woman's voice sounded, and I realized that the car had stopped at the door of Yunqian Club. The bold man got out of the car and opened the door for the woman went down. I got off the car quickly too. I'm going to take a shower. You get ready. Come to room 206 in half an hour and give me a massage. After the woman said that to me, she walked into the club in her red high-heeled boots. I looked at her back. Her figure was clearly outlined in her bright red cheongsam. Her slender legs revealed by the slit of the cheongsam were even more beautiful. Who is she? Looking at the woman's back, I murmured. Chapter 9 Unexpected Female Neighbor. I walked into the club, changed into work clothes in the lounge, prepared towels and essential oils for massage, and then walked to room 206. I knocked on the door and heard a woman's voice, "Come in, the door is not locked." I turned the handle and walked into the room. The woman had finished her bath, wrapped in a bath towel, and lay on the massage bed. I walked over and sat in front of her. The woman turned her face to the side and said to me, "You can start." I nodded, took out the massage essential oil, poured it on her back, and then gently massaged her. The woman turned her face to the side, closed her eyes, and seemed to enjoy my massage technique. Nowadays, women no longer have that kind of high-handed cold feeling, just like a woman who is tired and needs a rest. She is definitely the most beautiful woman I have ever seen, but facing her, I dare not have any other thoughts in my heart. I am just curious why she always chooses me every time she comes. I just learned how to do massage, and I don't have any skills to speak of. Besides, there are so many experienced masseurs in this club, why did she insist on choosing me? I have been working for more than a week, and she is the only customer. I am not a fool, of course I know that this is very abnormal. It stands to reason that when customers come, Sister Lan will arrange technicians to serve them. It has been a week, and it will be my turn, but except for women, I have no other customers. All this is very abnormal. I asked Sister Lan, but she evaded the question vaguely, just telling me not to worry, saying that even if there is only one customer, she will not fire me. A masseur, serving only one customer, with a monthly salary of up to 20,000, even a fool knows that it is not normal. What's more, their club is open for business and wants to make money, so it is impossible for them to be so tolerant of me. So I thought about it and got only one answer, that is, the club deliberately arranged it this way, so that I only receive her as a customer. Although the monthly salary of 20,000 yuan is attractive enough for me, this unclear situation makes me feel a little unsure. I looked at the woman's beautiful profile, and my heart suddenly moved. The woman's identity is very important, and she only asked me to massage her. Could it be that she arranged it? Once the idea comes to mind, it will become stronger and stronger. Thank you today. I thanked the woman while massaging. Of course, I was talking about the incident today at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau when she helped me vent my anger. Thank you for what? Didn't I say that I just happened to pass by? The woman's tone was light, and no emotion could be heard. Who are you? I finally couldn't help but ask. The woman still didn't open her eyes, but her long eyelashes trembled, and the corners of her mouth curled up, revealing a faint smile. Oh, why do you ask this? The woman said. I just feel a little curious. I told the truth. Don't be too curious about anything. Sometimes, your curiosity can hurt you. The woman said. My hand paused for a moment, not sure if this was the woman warning me. As if she had noticed my emotions, the woman continued, "Don't think too much. It's not that I can't tell you my identity, but you don't need to know it now." The woman fell silent after she finished speaking. I took a deep breath, knowing that she didn't want to tell me, and didn't ask any more questions. After more than half an hour, a set of massages was done. I covered her back, packed up my things, and prepared to leave the room. But when I was about to walk out of the door, I couldn't help but look back and asked her, "I work here, and you are the only guest. Is this your arrangement?" The woman had sat up wrapped in a bath towel, pulling the bath towel with her hands to cover the scenery in front of her chest. She looked at me and smiled faintly, not stupid, thinking of this. I thought to myself, unless I was a fool, how could I not guess such an obvious thing? "Don't think too much, I just like you, and I don't want your hands to touch other women," she said lightly. I stood at the door and was slightly stunned. Although she was a very cold woman, this sentence still had a bit of feminine flavor when she said it. It was like a woman telling her man not to touch other women outside. "Do you have anything else to do?" the woman asked me. I came to my senses and quickly said that I was fine, then said goodbye and left the room. Back in the dressing room, I changed into my own clothes. Here, she was my only customer, so after serving her, I was fine, and I could arrange the rest of the time by myself. This job gave me a very strange feeling, because no matter how you look at it, it doesn't look like a serious job. How can there be a masseur who only serves one person? Am I considered to be kept? Or is it that the woman likes me? I shook my head. Although I think I look pretty good, I am definitely not stupid enough to think that I can make a woman fall in love at first sight, especially her. She is obviously not an ordinary woman. If she is a little girl who knows nothing about the world, it is reasonable for her to fall in love with a man at first sight. But she is obviously not that kind of woman. In addition to being cold, she also has a sense of indifference that sees through the world. So such a woman will not have the emotions of a little girl. But why did she have to choose me to serve her alone? Is it really like she said, just because I am more pleasing to the eye? I shook my head. I can't figure these things out for the time being, so don't think about them. At least I need this job now. I took out my mobile phone and started to check the nearby housing information. After divorcing Gu Miao, I no longer have a place to live. I can't always live in the lounge of the club. After searching, I found that there is a single apartment not far away that is more suitable for me. The apartment is fully equipped and can be moved in directly, and the rent is within my affordable range. I called the landlord and made an appointment to see the house in the afternoon. After leaving the club, I had a simple meal and took a taxi to the apartment. The apartment was built not long ago, the house is new, and I am also satisfied with the greening of the community. The landlord took me to see the house. The house is on the 6th floor and the height is quite suitable. I didn't pick too much. I went downstairs to sign the rental contract with the landlord and got the room card. Back to the apartment, I sat in the room alone in a daze. Just the day before yesterday, I still had a family that I thought was happy, but now, I live alone in a single apartment and have become a lonely person. Everything that happened with Gu Miao appeared in my mind again and again, making me heartbroken and full of hatred for her. I don't know how long it took, I let out a long sigh. Since we are divorced, we should let go of the past. From then on, Gu Miao and I no longer have any relationship. We are already two strangers, so everything about her has nothing to do with me. Why should I hate her anymore? After thinking through all this, I felt relieved. Looking at the sky outside the window that was about to get dark, I suddenly had the urge to drink some wine. I put on my coat and prepared to go to the restaurant outside the community to have a few drinks, which was also a tribute to my dead love and marriage. When I came, I saw a Sichuan restaurant at the entrance of the community, which was quite in line with my taste. I opened the door and saw a woman standing at the door of the opposite room. At this time, the woman was holding a bag in one hand and using the access card to swipe the door with the other hand. Hearing the movement behind her, the woman turned her head and looked at me. I happened to be looking at her. Our eyes met and we were both stunned. "It's you?" we shouted almost at the same time. It turned out that the woman opposite was no one else, but Mu Xiaowan, who spent the night with me last night. "Why are you here?" Mu Xiaowan widened her eyes and looked incredulous. "Why are you here?" I didn't answer her question, but asked her. "This is my home, I live here, how come I'm here? Mu Xiaowan said with a little anger. You said you live here. I pointed to the door opposite in disbelief. Of course, how did you get here, pervert? Are you following me, a stalker? Mu Xiaowan took a step back and pretended to be a little nervous. I tell you, don't mess around, or I will call the police. I looked at Mu Xiaowan and couldn't help laughing. It turned out that she lived here, just opposite me. The fate of this world is really wonderful. What are you laughing at, laughing so lasciviously? Tell me quickly, are you following me, you pervert? Mu Xiaowan looked at me and said with a vigilant face. I took out my door card and shook it at her. I just rented a house today, I didn't expect it to be opposite yours. What, you said you rented the room opposite me? Mu Xiaowan looked in disbelief. Yes, we will be neighbors from now on. I nodded to her. Mu Xiaowan still looked me up and down warily, with a look of disbelief on her face. Do you have any idea about me? You rented the house opposite me on purpose. Sister, do I know you well? We were together last night. I don't even know where you live. Do you think I might follow you and rent the house opposite you? I explained to Mu Xiaowan helplessly. That's right. You don't know where I live at all. Is it really such a coincidence? Mu Xiaowan felt a little unbelievable. Even I felt like I was dreaming. I didn't expect that the drinking buddy I met last night would become my neighbor today. This is too much of a coincidence. Where are you going? Mu Xiaowan finally let down her guard and asked me. I'm going downstairs to eat something. I said. Come on, eat with me. You are lucky today to taste my cooking skills. Mu Xiaowan said as she opened the door and motioned me to follow her in. Chapter 10: A Feeling of Ambiguity. Can you cook? I asked Mu Xiaowan in disbelief. There are very few girls who can cook nowadays, especially a beautiful girl like her. Shouldn't she be a master chef? HMPH, who are you looking down on? I am a chef. Mu Xiaowan snorted and wrinkled her cute nose. Well, let me taste your cooking skills today. Since she invited me, I couldn't refuse. Besides, we will be neighbors in the future. We will see each other every day. There is no need to be so polite. After entering the door, I looked around. Mu Xiaowan's room was clean and tidy. It can be seen that she is a girl who loves cleanliness and pays great attention to personal hygiene. Now I see many girls online who wear fancy clothes outside, but live in a place as dirty as a doghouse. Fortunately, Mu Xiaowan is not that kind of person, otherwise I would turn around and leave. But I am also too suspicious. A girl who can buy vegetables and cook them by herself can't be too lazy. What are you looking at? Mu Xiaowan asked me vigilantly while changing her shoes. Let me see if there are any lace, black silk underwear or the like. I took off my shoes without changing my face and changed into disposable slippers. Okay, you are really a big pervert, I shouldn't let you in. Mu Xiaowan said with her hands on her waist. I smiled at her. It's too late to regret now, you are letting the wolf into their house. Following a pervert, a big pervert, if you don't behave, be careful that I will castrate you with a knife. Mu Xiaowan said, carrying vegetables and walked into the kitchen. We once spent a night together, and nothing happened. She should be assured of me, so now we are just bickering. Mu Xiaowan, who walked to the kitchen door, turned around and said to me, sit down for a while. There are drinks in the refrigerator. If you are thirsty, take them yourself. After that, she went into the kitchen and started to work. I sat on the sofa. She really didn't treat me as an outsider. Maybe it was because of our interaction that night that she had a sense of trust in me. I nodded and felt that it must be like this. Fate is really amazing. We just spent a night together in a daze last night, but I didn't expect to become neighbors across the street today. There was a woolen bear as tall as a person on Mu Xiaowan's sofa, right next to me. I raised my hand, slapped the woolen bear twice, and then grinned. Hey, what are you doing? Why are you hitting my stupid kid? I turned around and found Mu Xiaowan standing at the kitchen door with her hands on her hips, looking at me angrily. Its face is dirty, let me wipe it. I laughed dryly, and raised my hand to wipe the woolen bear's face twice with some embarrassment. I tell you, don't bully Ben, it's my best friend, if I see it again, you better be careful. Mu Xiaowan said, while picking up the spatula in the kitchen and gesturing to me. Although it was a threat, the action looked a bit seductive and naughty. The main reason is that she is so beautiful that people feel comfortable no matter what she does. Damn, I really have some dog-licking characteristics. I despised myself in my heart and quickly said to Mu Xiaowan, I dare not, I absolutely dare not. Mu Xiaowan snorted, turned around and started working again. I looked at the woolen bear next to me, and Mu Xiaowan said it was her best friend. Mu Xiaowan should be a very lonely girl to treat a woolen bear toy as a friend, right? Mu Xiaowan didn't lie. Her cooking skills were really good. In less than an hour, she had already served for dishes. 1 stir-fried snow peas, 1 sweet and sour pork ribs, 1 stir-fried pork with peppers, and 1 celery and lily. The combination of meat and vegetables in these 4 dishes makes people hungry. I couldn't help but pick up the chopsticks and take a bite. The color, aroma and taste were delicious. How is it? How is my cooking? Mu Xiaowan asked proudly. Not bad, not bad. With your cooking skills, you can be a chef in a restaurant. There are very few girls who can cook now, especially girls as beautiful as you. I didn't hesitate to praise myself. When she was with Ji Yumiao, she never cooked. I always bought vegetables and cooked after I got home from get off work. I was a little surprised that such a beautiful girl like Mu Xiaowan could have such cooking skills. Would you like to drink more? Mu Xiaowan sat opposite me and looked at me. There seemed to be a hint of unknown expectation in her eyes. Aren't you afraid of drinking too much again? I smiled at her, and my heart was moved when I thought of the scene last night. TSK, this is my house, what's there to be afraid of if you drink too much? If you dare to mess around, I will make you a eunuch. Mu Xiaowan pretended to be fierce. Okay, I just want to drink something. I smiled and nodded to her. Mu Xiaowan opened the cabinet, took out a bottle of liquor, a bottle of Feiqian Maotai. You actually have this kind of good liquor. I was a little surprised that Mu Xiaowan, a girl, would have liquor at home, and it was Maotai. I usually like to drink a little, but I always drink it at home. It was my first time to go to a bar yesterday. Mu Xiaowan said as she handed me the wine and motioned me to open it. Our first time. I was a little surprised and didn't take Mu Xiaowan's words to heart. After all, girls always say one thing and mean another, and it's hard to tell whether she's telling the truth or a lie. The more beautiful a girl is, the more likely she is to lie. Why, you don't believe it? Mu Xiaowan saw that I didn't believe her and asked me. I believe it, it's your first time. I nodded quickly to deal with it. Looking at your expression, you obviously don't believe it. It's really my first time to go to that kind of place. I just felt bad yesterday and wanted to drink to relieve my sorrow. I'm not the bad girl you think. Mu Xiaowan looked at me angrily, but after a moment, she laughed first. It's really funny. Why did I explain so much to you? Believe it or not. I really believe it, I nodded and poured wine for her and myself. It's none of my business whether you believe it or not. Come on, this is our second meeting, let's go first. Mu Xiaowan said and raised her glass. I also raised my glass and just wanted to clink glasses with her, but Mu Xiaowan raised her head and drank it in one gulp. I also drank the wine in one gulp. Putting down the glass, we looked at each other, and the atmosphere suddenly became a little subtle. Now there seems to be an inexplicable emotion between me and her. That emotion is a little ambiguous and a little hard to describe. Mu Xiaowan looked at me. Perhaps because of the alcohol, 2 blushes appeared on her pretty face, and even her eyes became a little blurry. Chapter 11: The Beautiful Poisonous Widow. As if we felt the atmosphere was a little awkward, we looked away from each other. Mu Xiaowan was silent, lowering her head, not knowing what she was thinking. I coughed, took the initiative to speak, and asked her, by the way, I still don't know what you do for a living. I spoke, breaking the silence and the awkward atmosphere. Mu Xiaowan smiled at me and told me that she was a stewardess. I was not surprised to hear her say that she was a stewardess. A beautiful girl like her deserved this job. Is your ex-boyfriend's family a billionaire? I asked Mu Xiaowan. Why do you ask this? Mu Xiaowan was a little confused, but still shook her head. Then maybe he is the son of a high-ranking official. I continued to ask. No, his family is actually very ordinary. Mu Xiaowan replied. Oh, then I know, he must have been born without pupils. I nodded. Why do you say that? Mu Xiaowan did not react for a while. Without pupils, you are blind. Only a blind person would break up with such an excellent girl like you. I said seriously. My words made Mu Xiaowan burst out laughing. The girl's smile was like a blooming flower, pleasing to the eye. You are so good at talking. Your ex-wife will definitely regret divorcing you. Mu Xiaowan said with a smile. I don't care whether she regrets it or not. I just hope she can be happy in the future. I said, poured myself a glass of wine and drank it all. You don't hate her anymore. Mu Xiaowan looked at me, her eyes full of curiosity. The moment I caught her in bed, I really wanted to kill her. But now I have thought it through. Since she thinks I can't give her happiness, she certainly has the right to pursue her own happiness. It's just that she chose the wrong method. If she took the initiative to talk to me, I would let her go instead of bringing wild men home to disgust me. I said, and drank another glass of wine. But now that we're divorced, we don't have to worry about these things. They are all in the past. Yes, they are all in the past. Mu Xiaowan said, raising her glass and clinking it with mine. We both drank to commemorate our lost marriages and love. Let's not talk about that. Since we're neighbors, we'll have one more drinking buddy. Come on, let's have another. Mu Xiaowan said, raising her glass again. We clinked our glasses gently and drank it all. A bottle of Moutai was drunk before I knew it. Mu Xiaowan's cheeks were flushed and her eyes were blurred. She was obviously a little drunk. My head was a little dizzy. By the way, I forgot to ask you, what do you do? Mu Xiaowan looked at me and asked me. I used to be an operator of a live broadcast company, but I lost my job. Now I'm a masseur at Yunqian Club. I didn't hide anything from Mu Xiaowan and told her directly. Besides, I think as a normal masseur, this job is nothing to be ashamed of. You are a masseur, working at Yunqian Club. Mu Xiaowan was a little surprised when she heard what I said. No wonder that woman is there. Mu Xiaowan whispered to herself. No wonder, what are you talking about? I asked her with some confusion. I also went to the gate of the Civil Affairs Bureau today. Mu Xiaowan looked up and said to me. What, you also went? I was a little shocked when I heard Mu Xiaowan's words. I didn't expect that she would go there today. Of course, I promised you yesterday that I would vent your anger. Mu Xiaowan, always keep my word. Mu Xiaowan nodded. But why didn't I see you? I asked her with some confusion. Because I didn't get off the car at all. Why didn't you get off the car? I was a little surprised. HMPH, there is that woman Zhu Yeqing supporting you, why should I get off? Mu Xiaowan said with some dissatisfaction. Zhu Yeqing? Who is Zhu Yeqing? I was still confused. You don't know Zhu Yeqing? Mu Xiaowan was obviously a little unconvinced. I shook my head. I have heard of the name Zhu Yeqing, but I have never seen her in person. Zhu Yeqing is a legend in Hangzhou, a legend mixed with beauty and cold-bloodedness. Zhu Yeqing is a woman, nicknamed Zhu Yeqing, the president of Hangzhou Jinding Group, a woman known to almost everyone in Hangzhou. The legendary Zhu Yeqing, just like her nickname, is a beautiful but dangerous venomous snake. Zhu Yeqing is a widow. 3 years ago, she married Dong Liang, a newly rich man in Hangzhou. Dong Liang was originally a street gangster, but with his own ability, he took only a few years to build the Jinding Group and became one of the upper class in Hangzhou. 3 years ago, Dong Liang was in the limelight and married Zhu Yeqing, the eldest daughter of the Zhu family, who was known as the most beautiful woman in Hangzhou. It is said that half of the wealthy families in Hangzhou attended the wedding. Unfortunately, on the wedding night, Dong Liang suddenly died, and Zhu Yeqing became a widow on the first day of their marriage. Dong Liang's cause of death was a sudden cerebral hemorrhage. But the whole city of Hangzhou said it was because of Zhu Yeqing, saying that she was born to be a husband killer, a beautiful snake that eats men without spitting out bones, and that if you marry her, you will definitely die. For a while, the whole city of Hangzhou knew the name of the poisonous woman Zhu Yeqing, and everyone wanted to conquer her, but they were afraid of her beauty. After Dong Liang's death, I don't know how many people were eyeing the assets he left behind, wanting to take them for themselves, and I don't know how many powerful people were eyeing Zhu Yeqing, the pretty widow, and wanted to get her into their bed. But no matter who coveted Dong Liang's property or Zhu Yeqing, they all failed. Dong Liang's Jinding Group not only did not fall, but grew bigger and bigger, and now it has become one of the top 5 industries in Hangzhou. And Zhu Yiqing was still unscathed. There are many legends saying that a rich man said something frivolous to Zhu Yiqing, and his body was found in Qiantang River the next day. These legends, whether true or false, cast a mysterious veil over the widow Zhu Yiqing. All the men in Hangzhou want to get Zhu Yiqing, but they dare not have that thought. Zhu Yiqing has rarely appeared in recent years, but the legends about her in Hangzhou have not decreased at all. Some people even say that she changes a man every night, and the next day, the man will be sucked clean by her and become a man. In recent years, Zhu Yiqing's name has become more and more demonized. Today, the woman in the red cheongsam is Zhu Yiqing, don't you know her? Mu Xiaowan looked incredulous. What, you said she is Zhu Yiqing? Hearing Mu Xiaowan's words, my hand trembled, and the chopsticks in my hand fell on the table. Chapter 12. A single man and a single woman, what do you want to do to me? She is actually Zhu Yiqing, the poisonous widow in the eyes of Hangzhou people, the Zhu Yiqing who eats men without spitting out bones. This news shocked me so much. I have guessed her true identity many times, but I never thought that she would be Zhu Yiqing. I never thought that I would be related to her, and I massage her every day. You really don't know that she is Zhu Yiqing? Mu Xiaowan still didn't believe it. I really don't know, why would I lie to you? I shook my head and felt that all this was a bit magical. Zhu Yiqing, the poisonous widow in the eyes of Hangzhou people, who is like a poisonous snake and no one dares to provoke, is actually my guest, and my only guest. And I know that Yunqian Club is the property under Zhu Yiqing's name. So, it was her decision to let me be a masseur and massage only her? Why did she do this? Why did she choose me? Look at me, am I handsome? I turned my head and looked at Mu Xiaowan. Mu Xiaowan showed a contentious look. You can only say that you are not ugly, and you are not handsome at all. Although the words are a bit hurtful, they are the truth. I have a clear understanding of my appearance. Although I am not ugly, I can't say I am handsome either. At most, I am just a little bit above average, of course, I think so. My appearance can't even charm ordinary girls, let alone a woman like Zhu Yiqing. So it is impossible for her to fall in love with me at first sight. But why did she choose me to be her professional masseur? And she only let me massage her and not touch other women. Hey, you haven't told me yet, what is your relationship with Zhu Yiqing? Why did she help you vent your anger today? Seeing me in a daze, Mu Xiaowan poked me with her elbow. I really don't know her. I was confused. HMPH, liar, you men's words can't be believed. You don't know her, so why would she go to the door of the Civil Affairs Bureau to vent your anger for you? Mu Xiaowan obviously didn't believe it. Sister, really, I really don't know her. She's just one of my guests. I explained helplessly. Guest. Mu Xiaowan raised her eyebrows, obviously interested. There's nothing to hide about the relationship between Zhu Yiqing and me, so I told Mu Xiaowan all about how Zhu Yiqing and I met. After listening to me quietly, Mu Xiaowan stared at me straight, without even blinking, and stared at me for a long time. I was so scared by her stare. What are you looking at? Mu Xiaowan finally moved her eyes away and shook her head in disappointment. I thought you had some hidden handsomeness that I hadn't discovered yet, but now it seems that I thought too much. What do you want to say? I was a little annoyed by Mu Xiaowan's blow. I thought Zhu Yiqing fell in love with you because you are handsome, but now this point can be ruled out, unless she is blind. You? I was so angry at Mu Xiaowan that I couldn't speak, and I drank the wine in the glass directly. Although I didn't want to believe it, I had to admit that what Mu Xiaowan said was the truth. Don't say that I am not handsome enough, even if I am really handsome, so what? A woman like Zhu Yiqing has come all the way to where she is now. She has seen all kinds of men. If the whole city of Hangzhou had people who wanted to pursue her lined up, I'm afraid the Qiantang River Bridge would be crowded. So Zhu Yiqing would never make her heart beat just because a man is handsome or not. What the hell is going on? I shook my head, still unable to figure it out. Okay, why think so much? She won't eat you, anyway, you have a salary and a job now, and it's easy, why are you worried? Mu Xiaowan said to me. I thought about it and felt that what she said made sense. No matter how powerful Zhu Yiqing is, she is just a woman. What should I be afraid of? Besides, there are countless men in Hangzhou who want to get her favor. Even if she really likes me, I should be happy. Forget it, don't think about it, drink. After drinking a bottle of Mao Tai, Mu Xiaowan brought out another box of beer. It can be seen that she is really a woman who likes to drink. While we were drinking, we chatted randomly. She was obviously drunk and scolded her ex-boyfriend. And I also know that her boyfriend is not from an ordinary family as she said, but a real rich second generation. She didn't tell me the truth last time. But I didn't take these small problems to heart. After all, it was our first meeting last time, and it was right for us to be reserved with each other. Mu Xiaowan said that her ex-boyfriend was originally a college classmate of hers. His family had a listed company. He took the initiative to pursue Mu Xiaowan in college. At that time, he cared about Mu Xiaowan in various ways and vowed to take care of her for the rest of her life. Girls can't stand these sweet words, so Mu Xiaowan agreed to date him. They have been in love for 3 years, and Mu Xiaowan has even started planning their marriage. As a result, the man came to break up with Mu Xiaowan yesterday with her best friend. Mu Xiaowan didn't cry, but ended the relationship calmly, and then went to the bar to get drunk, and happened to meet me. Do you think we are destined to be together? I just broke up with you yesterday, and today you live opposite me. Mu Xiaowan was drunk, and 2 pinks flew on her cheeks, especially the way she looked at me now, which seemed to carry some kind of emotion that easily makes men impulsive. It is indeed fate. I didn't dare to look at Mu Xiaowan's eyes, but just nodded. Do you really give Zhu Yeqing a massage every day? Mu Xiaowan looked at me with a smile. Yes, there is no need for me to lie to you, I said. Then come and give me a massage, so that I can also try out the skills of Zhu Yeqing, the woman's special masseur. Mu Xiaowan stood up and lay on the sofa. After she went home, she changed into pajamas and a tube skirt with a cartoon cat pattern embroidered on it. Now she lay on the sofa, with her 2 long legs exposed, which made me stunned. Hey, what are you looking at? Come here quickly. Mu Xiaowan slapped the sofa with some dissatisfaction. Sister, my massage skills are really not good, I explained to Mu Xiaowan helplessly. I only learned massage for a few days when I went to work at Yunqian Club, and I didn't have any skills at all. I don't care, today I will enjoy Zhu Yeqing's special masseur. Mu Xiaowan continued to slap the sofa. I was a little helpless. A drunk woman is indeed more difficult to deal with than a man. I walked to Mu Xiaowan, asked her to go a little inside, and sat down next to her waist. Hurry up, let me relax. Mu Xiaowan tilted her head and said incoherently. I put my hand on her shoulder and began to massage her gently. At the beginning, the force was a bit strong, and Mu Xiaowan moaned softly, which made me reduce the force. Your technique is not very good, I really don't know how Zhu Yeqing likes you. Mu Xiaowan closed her eyes and said vaguely. I don't know how to massage. I smiled bitterly and stopped. Why stop, keep pressing, I haven't relaxed yet. Seeing me stop, Mu Xiaowan was a little dissatisfied. Didn't you say that my technique is not good? I shook my head and continued to massage her. Just because I said you are not good at it doesn't mean you can stop. Mu Xiaowan was a little dissatisfied. I had to continue to massage her. Mu Xiaowan lay on the sofa with her eyes closed, and I didn't know if she fell asleep. I pressed for a long time, and saw that she didn't move, so I thought she had fallen asleep. Tell me the truth, did you have any other thoughts about me last night when we were in the hotel? Just as I was about to stop, Mu Xiaowan suddenly spoke again. What thoughts? I paused. What thoughts do you mean? Mu Xiaowan raised her head and rolled her eyes at me. I thought about it and didn't know how to answer her for a while. Being in the same room with such a beautiful woman like Mu Xiaowan, and she was so proactive last night. Unless she was an abnormal man, she would definitely have some ideas. I am a normal man, so of course I would have some normal man's ideas, but how can I say this out loud? HMPH, stinky men, they are all the same. Mu Xiaowan said. Sister, you kept teasing me last night, and I'm not a eunuch. I defended myself. Oh, you have evil thoughts when I tease you? But nothing happened between us yesterday. Are you really not capable? Mu Xiaowan's voice became lighter. Don't talk nonsense, okay? If you hadn't vomited last night, I would have. Oh, what do you want to do to me? Mu Xiaowan interrupted me. I want. I stuttered for a long time, but still couldn't say it. Then you have a chance now. You can try what you want to do to me. Mu Xiaowan's voice sounded softly, as if it had some unspeakable magic. Chapter 13. You are only a B at best. Mu Xiaowan's voice was a little vague, and it sounded as if there was a hint of inexplicable temptation. I was a little dizzy after drinking, and now I felt hot all over, and even my throat was a little dry. Her continuous provocations made me want to take revenge. I grabbed her shoulders and whispered in her ear, "You forced me to do this, don't regret it." I have to admit that Mu Xiaowan is a standard beauty. Although she doesn't have the enchanting face of Zhu Yeqing, she is definitely a beauty. No one can stand being told that they are not good enough by such a beauty. What's more, Mu Xiaowan is lying on the sofa, motionless, looking like she is ready to be picked by you. No man can stay calm. I waited for a while, but Mu Xiaowan didn't move. "Hey, I'm going to do it. As promised, don't regret it tomorrow," I said to her again. But Mu Xiaowan still didn't answer. I moved closer to her face. At this time, Mu Xiaowan's cheeks were slightly red, her eyes were closed, and she was snoring slightly. She had actually fallen asleep. I looked at Mu Xiaowan's profile, and I felt a little anxious for a while. What's this special code? She fell asleep after flirting with me. What should I do? I looked at Mu Xiaowan, and I really had an impulse to ignore it. But in the end I still endured it. Although I like beautiful women, I definitely can't do the act of bullying her when she is drunk. Besides, she is drunk now. If I do something, she will regret it tomorrow morning. What should I do? It starts at 3 years. I don't want to go in and pick up the soap. I got up, went to the bedroom and brought out a blanket, and carefully covered Mu Xiaowan. The girl turned her face to the side, and there seemed to be a faint smile on the corner of her mouth. There was an indescribable beauty under the light. This is what beauty is. A beautiful girl is like a delicious cake, which makes people want to take a bite. It's just that I'm not a flower thief. Reason finally defeated the primitive desire in my heart. I got up, walked to the balcony, opened the window, lit a cigarette for myself, and looked at the city under the night sky. I felt empty inexplicably. Now I am confused for the first time in my life. When I was young in college, I never thought about how to live in the future. After graduation, I got married and worked from 9 to 5 every day to support my family. Although it was hard, I enjoyed it. I always felt that life would continue to be plain like this. But now, my life has changed. My original job is gone, and my wife ran away with someone else. Looking back, I realized that the happiness I thought was so fragile in the face of reality. Compared with the beauty in my own fantasy, reality is cruel. Although my heart hurts, people must learn to accept reality and sum up experience and lessons from their failures. Being addicted to grief is a manifestation of weakness. Only those who can change reality are truly strong. My marriage with Jiu Miao is over. I no longer have any attachment to her. I am not obsessed with grief, but I find that I lack the ability to change reality. The failure of the marriage is Jiu Miao's infidelity to me, but in the final analysis, it is because of my own ability. Of course, it is not physical, but in life. I used to be unable to recognize the reality and indulge in my own imaginary life. I never thought about a problem. All the foundations of happiness come from material. If material life cannot be satisfied, how can there be happiness? In the final analysis, it is money. Lewin is not better than me, but he is richer than me. This is the reality. So now for me, making money is the most important thing. But how can I make this money? Is it possible to keep doing masseur like this? I shook my head. That is unrealistic. Although the income of masseur is satisfactory to me now, there is no big way out in the end. There are many turning points in life. Strength is a hard condition, but there are many people with strength who have been mediocre all their lives. There is another reason for this, that is, luck. When I thought of this, the woman in the bright red cheongsam, Zhu Yeqing, appeared in my mind. She is the richest woman in Hangzhou and the most powerful woman. There are so many people in Hangzhou who want to make friends with her, and now I am Zhu Yeqing's masseur, and an exclusive masseur. Maybe she is my fortune. But I quickly shook my head and smiled bitterly. Although I don't know why Zhu Yeqing took a fancy to me, a woman like her has experienced everything. It is not so easy to get something from Zhu Yeqing. To put it bluntly, if you want others to look up to you, you must have the strength to be looked up to. I looked at myself and sadly found that I didn't seem to have anything worth looking up to her. But why did she have to choose me as her masseur? I thought about it for a long time and couldn't figure out what was going on. I stood on the balcony and blew the wind for a while. The alcohol came up and I felt even more dizzy. Anyone who has been drunk knows that after drinking too much, you will be fine once you are exposed to the wind, and that is the case with me now. I shook my head, trying to keep myself awake and prepare to go home to sleep. But after just 2 steps, my head was dizzy and out of control. Before I lost consciousness, I saw the sofa next to me and lay down directly. I was dazed and didn't know how long I slept. I just felt hot all over. After the hangover, even my throat was very dry. I opened my eyes and saw a beautiful face. The owner of the face was none other than Mafia. The moment I saw her, I immediately woke up, and then I felt that my body was tightly hugged by Mafia's hands and feet. She was like an octopus, tightly wrapped around me. I was startled, but I felt that both of us were still wearing clothes, so I breathed a sigh of relief. Last night, I was drunk and fell on the sofa. Mafia was also sleeping on the sofa at that time, so. Although I was hugged tightly by Mafia, the headache after the hangover made me have no other thoughts. I just wanted to find a sip of water to drink. I struggled slightly, trying to get rid of Mafia's entanglement. Who knew that the next moment, she opened her eyes, and then we looked at each other, and we were stunned for more than 10 seconds. The next moment, Mafia screamed loudly like a cat whose tail was stepped on, and jumped up directly. "You hooligan, what did you do to me last night?" Mafia protected her chest and pointed at me and shouted. I was a little helpless. This scene was exactly the same as yesterday in the hotel. I was used to it. I didn't say anything. I just sat up and drank a bottle of mineral water on the table. "Don't scream. We drank too much yesterday," I said weakly. "You rascal, you treat me like this when you're drunk." Mafia's face was full of anger, and I didn't know whether she was really angry or pretending to be angry. "Sister, we didn't take off our clothes, what can I do to you?" I spread my hands helplessly. Mafia checked her body up and down with both hands, and then she breathed a sigh of relief, but she still looked at me with a vigilant face. "How did you sleep with me?" I looked at Mafia, opened my mouth, and wanted to explain, but I still didn't say anything, because I knew that even if I explained, she probably wouldn't believe it. At this time, it's not suitable to reason with a woman, and I have to wait until she calms down. "Well, I didn't sleep well yesterday, I'll go back and make up for it." I stood up quickly, but found that I didn't know when I took off my shoes. I quickly found my shoes, and didn't dare to say anything to Mafia, and ran to the door. "You stinky rascal, let me guess, you are really a big pervert," Mafia shouted from behind. I was really angry. As I opened the door, I said to her, "I don't know if I'm a hooligan or not, but you're not AC. I've tried it, and you're only AB at best. Calling a man small will make people angry. Similarly, calling a woman small will make her even more angry." My words made Mafia furious. She picked up a pillow and threw it at me. "You stinky hooligan, get out." I quickly slipped out of the door and closed it. There was the sound of a pillow hitting the door and Mafia's angry roar. Fortunately, I ran out. I breathed a sigh of relief, picked up my shoes, and prepared to go back to my room opposite. I just raised my head and suddenly found that a woman in a pink dress opposite was looking at me in astonishment. My room is 609. The woman was standing at the door of room 608, right next to me. If I'm not mistaken, she should be my neighbor. Looking at her shocked expression, she should have heard the movement clearly. The woman was very beautiful, with long hair draped over her shoulders, and she looked intellectually beautiful. I was a little embarrassed and smiled at her, misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. The woman kept staring at me, then raised her hand, pointed at me, and said in disbelief, "Chen Changan, you are Chen Changan." When I heard her call my name, I was stunned for a moment and looked at the woman carefully. She was very beautiful, but that beautiful face looked familiar to me. I shook my head, and the disappeared memory reappeared, allowing me to finally recognize her. "Han Yi, you are Han Yi." I looked at her and said in disbelief. Chapter 14 School Beauty Neighbor. Han Yi, a name that has disappeared from my memory for several years. This name accompanies the beautiful youth that I have lost. That was when I first entered college. There was a girl who amazed the whole school. She was the undisputed school beauty of our class. Yes, Han Yi was my college classmate, and we were classmates. When I first entered college, Hanyi's seat was next to me. She was a very outstanding girl, so naturally there were many boys pursuing her. Although I was closest to her, I knew the gap between me and her, so I didn't pursue her. In the 4 years of college, countless boys pursued Hanyi, but I never heard that she was dating any boy. After graduating from college, Hanyi went abroad, and she never attended the class reunions in the past few years. The gorgeous school beauty of that year has gradually faded in my mind. I never thought that I would see her here again today. Especially now that I just woke up from a hangover and one of my shoes is not on. No matter how I look at it, I look a little embarrassed. "Chen Changan, what are you doing?" Hanyi pointed at me, looking puzzled. This. Just as I was thinking about how to explain, the door behind me was suddenly opened, and Mu Xiaowan looked at me angrily. "You bastard, what did you do to me yesterday? How do you know I only have B?" As soon as Mu Xiaowan said this, she saw Hanyi opposite her, and she was stunned for a moment. Hanyi opened his mouth and looked at Mu Xiaowan in disbelief. In this scene, I didn't know what to say, so I had to remain silent. The atmosphere suddenly fell into an awkward silence. Mu Xiaowan glanced at me and snorted, "I'll settle with you later, you big pervert." After that, Mu Xiaowan slammed the door shut. I was sweating profusely, and looked at Hanyi again. She was also looking at me, with an elusive emotion in her eyes. Don't get me wrong, she and we. I tried to explain to Hanyi, but I realized that it was hard to explain this kind of thing, and the more I explained, the more confusing it became. "You live here, is she your girlfriend or wife?" Hanyi smiled softly and pointed behind me and asked. No, this is not my room, this is it." I quickly pointed to 609 and said to her. "What, you live here, so we are neighbors?" Hanyi was a little unbelievable. Yes, we are neighbors, I just moved in yesterday." I wiped the cold sweat from my head. "What about you and her?" Hanyi still looked puzzled. "There's nothing between her and me, we just met yesterday." "We just met yesterday and lived together." Hanyi opened his mouth slightly, looking a little surprised. "It's not what you think, don't get me wrong, there's really nothing between her and me." I explained again a little powerlessly. Hanyi didn't say anything else, but turned around and opened the door and said to me, "Old classmate, since we are neighbors in the future, come in and sit for a while." Okay. I nodded without thinking, but I hesitated when I reached the door. I drank too much yesterday and I still smell of alcohol. It seems a bit inappropriate to go to a girl's room. "What are you doing? Come in." Seeing that I didn't come in, Hanyi urged. "I smell of alcohol, can I come in?" I was a little embarrassed. "It's okay, just come in," Hanyi said. Hearing her words, I didn't hesitate, walked in directly, and looked around. Hanyi's room is very clean and tidy. "Sit anywhere, I'll get you a bottle of drink," Hanyi said as he walked to the refrigerator and took out a bottle of drink for me. I was very thirsty, so I took it and drank it. "I haven't seen you for a few years. How are you doing?" Hanyi said as he sat on the sofa. I sat opposite her and looked at her a few times. Hanyi now has lost her youthfulness and looks more mature. She also has an intellectual beauty. Quiet and elegant are the two words that best describe her. Of course, as the school beauty of the year, she is born beautiful. Not so good, but I can still get by. I sighed and said. "I heard that you married Ji Yumiao, why is she not here?" Hanyi stared at me and asked softly. I felt a little uncomfortable when I heard Ji Yumiao's name, but I was also a little surprised that she had been abroad for these years and knew that Ji Yumiao and I were married. "Just divorced, just yesterday," I said as if nothing had happened. "What, you divorced?" My answer was obviously a little beyond Hanyi's expectations, and she quickly apologized to me, "Sorry, I didn't know." "It's okay, it's all over." I waved my hand, indicating that I didn't care. "Why did you get divorced?" "I heard them say that you have always been very good to Ji Yumiao," Hanyi continued to ask. I looked at Hanyi with some surprise. What she said was a little strange. She has been abroad for these years, how could she know the relationship between me and Ji Yumiao? Even if some classmates called, they should rarely mention me. How could she know my situation so clearly? Sometimes, it is useless to be nice to someone simply because people ask for too much. I didn't explain anything to her in detail, just forced a smile. But I know that my smile should not be very good. Han Yi looked at me, frowned slightly, and then nodded gently, without asking anything else. She is a very smart woman, she should have guessed it. Who was that woman just now? Han Yi asked again. I knew she was talking about Mu Xiaowan, and I couldn't help but have a headache. I have only known her for 2 days, it's really nothing. I tried to explain. Oh, you spent the night together just 2 days after knowing each other, and from the way I saw her just now, did you do something to her last night? Han Yi said, staring at me with a pair of beautiful eyes. I felt a little guilty when she looked at me. Although I did not do anything with Mu Xiaowan last night, we were alone together for a night. No one would believe me even if I tried to explain. This shit is hard to explain. In addition to being a little embarrassed, Han Yi's current behavior surprised me. It felt a little strange. No matter how you look at it, it feels like a woman asking her boyfriend what bad things he did yesterday. It's hard for me to explain this, but don't worry, I really have nothing to do with her. I simply stopped explaining. Hearing what I said, Han Yi rolled his eyes. Whether you have a relationship with her or not is none of my business. Why should I worry about it? Chapter 15 The Mysterious Female Netizen. I was a little embarrassed and knew that I had said the wrong thing. Although Han Yi and I were college classmates, there was really no need to explain this kind of thing so clearly to others. No. She didn't ask it on her own initiative just now. When did you return to China? In order to ease the embarrassment, I quickly changed the subject. The company has a project in China, and I'm the person in charge. I've been back for a month. Han Yi said lightly. Not bad, now you're the person in charge of the branch. Congratulations, Manager Han. I said with a smile. Han Yi rolled his eyes at me, you're still so slick now. When I was in college, although I didn't pursue Han Yi, we talked quite a lot. At that time, I talked a lot and often made Han Yi laugh. Are you married? I asked Han Yi casually. No. Han Yi shook her head. Why haven't you gotten married yet? You're so outstanding, and people chasing you must be lining up. You must have too high requirements. Listen to me, don't be picky, just find someone who's similar and get married quickly, otherwise you'll become an old maid if you wait any longer. I joked with her. We are old classmates, so there's no need to be so cautious when talking. Han Yi rolled his eyes at me again, you don't need to worry about my affairs. I'm fine living alone. What's going on between you and the girl across the street? Hearing Han Yi bring the question back, I was a little speechless. However, since we are all neighbors in the future, we will see each other every day, so it's not good not to make this matter clear. I thought about it and told Han Yi all the details of how Mu Xiaowan and I met. Of course, I would never tell him that I stayed in the hotel with Mu Xiaowan the night before last. That's all. Han Yi listened to me quietly and asked me with a hint of doubt. That's really all. I don't have to lie to you. I spread my hands helplessly. HMPH, then why did she say you know the size of her breasts? As Han Yi spoke, he gestured at his chest with his hand, but immediately realized that something was wrong, so he quickly put his hand down, and a blush flew up on his face involuntarily. I did that on purpose to piss her off. I didn't expect her to be so small. I laughed dryly. Hearing what I said, Han Yi couldn't help but roll her eyes at me again. Her face was slightly red now, and her expression looked like a girl acting coquettish, which touched my heart. Han Yi has always been a school beauty, and I certainly like such a beautiful woman. But I knew the gap between me and her, and never dared to reveal my thoughts in front of her. I haven't seen her for a few years, and now she is sitting opposite me, which makes me feel a little strange. I glanced at her, and without thinking, I raised my hand and gestured on my chest. I haven't seen you for a few years, you have grown up a lot, at least you should be see. I was stunned as soon as I said this, and I wanted to slap myself immediately. What the hell am I talking about? Han Yi on the opposite side was also stunned, and her pretty face became redder and redder. Okay, Chen Changan, I haven't seen you for a few years. Not only are you slick, you've become a hooligan. Han Yi raised his finger and pointed at me angrily, and his other hand involuntarily protected his chest. He looked at me as if he was looking at a sex maniac. I didn't mean it. It's not what you think. I hurried to explain to her, but this explanation was a little pale and powerless no matter how you looked at it. HMPH, I finally know who you are. No wonder I just called you a pervert. You are a big pervert. I was embarrassed and sweated coldly on my head. I thought to myself, why am I so bad-mouthed? I haven't seen my old classmate for a few years, and I teased him right away. Damn it. Well, I still have to go to work. I'll go back first. I stood up in a panic and walked towards the door. When I got to the door and just opened it, Hanyi's voice rang out from behind me, wait. I turned around with a bitter face and said to her apologetically, sister, I was just rude. I apologize to you. Just ignore me. Hanyi blushed and was slightly angry, that's not what I'm talking about. What else do you have to say? I asked in confusion. I haven't been back for a few years. I haven't seen my old classmates. I want to organize a class reunion tonight. You should also go to the party. Hanyi's tone was a little commanding. Hearing Hanyi's words, I frowned. If it's a class reunion, then Ji Miao will also attend it. Hanyi seemed to know what I was thinking and said to me, don't worry, I won't invite Ji Miao. Anyway, I don't know her well. I noticed that Hanyi's tone was a little cold when he mentioned Ji Miao. This made me wonder. When they were in school, their relationship was not very good, but it was not bad. Now she is so cold to Ji Miao. Did Ji Miao offend her? But since Ji Miao is not going to participate, I have nothing to worry about. Okay, just call me where you are going tonight. I paused for a moment, and suddenly remembered that Hanyi and I had not been in touch for several years, and she didn't have my phone number at all. Write down my phone number, or add WeChat at the same time. I said, while taking out my mobile phone. HMPH, no need, I have your phone number and WeChat. Hanyi snorted coldly. What, when did you get my WeChat? I looked at Hanyi, confused. I swear, I have never added her, how can she say that she has my WeChat? One night plum blossoms arrive in front of the window, that's me. Hanyi said to me. Fuck, one night plum blossoms arrive in front of the window is you. Hearing Hanyi's words, I almost jumped up, and the mobile phone I was holding almost fell to the ground. 2 years ago, a female netizen named One Night Plum Blossoms Arrive at the Window added my WeChat. At that time, I saw that it was a girl, so I accepted it directly. We chatted for a few sentences at the beginning. I asked her who she was. She kept telling me that she was a friend who added me accidentally, and said that we should just be quiet netizens and don't need to know each other. Although I felt a little strange, I didn't delete it. In the past 2 years, we chatted a few sentences when we had nothing to do. She was very intellectual, which made me feel very good about this friend who inexplicably appeared. Gradually, we became friends who could talk about anything. Whenever I was under pressure or quarreled with Ji Miao, I would chat with her. Every time, she would listen to me quietly, and then comfort and encourage me. In the past few years, I regarded One Night Plum Blossoms Arrived at the Window as my close friend in the online world, and I talked to her about almost everything. But I never thought that the close netizen who often chatted with me would be Hanyi. Chapter 16 Romance. We were an online friend who didn't know each other and we got along quite well, so of course I had no reservations and talked to her about almost everything. I have told her almost all the bad things that happened to me in the past 2 years. Sometimes I would share the happy things with her as well. Most importantly, I have also told her all the little private things that I cannot tell to outsiders. Anyway, we are just strangers and no one knows each other, so I have no worries about what to say. I even discussed with her what kind of girls I like, and said that what I like most is the long legs of beautiful women. When I thought of this, I felt like the sky was falling, and my old face suddenly turned red. How could it be you? I covered my face in pain. Now I am standing in front of Hanyi, and I feel like I am not wearing any clothes, which makes me feel ashamed and embarrassed. Humph, Chen Changan, you'd better behave yourself from now on. I know all your secrets. Hanyi took the cell phone and shook it at me with a proud look on his face. The strong feeling of shame made me not have the courage to continue facing Hanyi. I covered my face and ran away in embarrassment. Hanyi's somewhat smug laughter sounded behind me. I returned to my room and took a cold shower. The cool water made me feel less ashamed. The artist who sang Plum Blossoms Arrive at the Window overnight with me for 2 years turned out to be Hanyi. This news really shocked me. In the past 2 years, I have talked to her about almost everything, even the most private things. Now I have no privacy at all with her, which is really fucked up. Why did Henyi add me and chat with me for so long? What does she want to do? I scratched my head, unable to figure out what was going on. The name, Plum Blossoms Bloom Overnight in Front of the Window, is interesting. It comes from the poem, Something to Think About, by the Tang Dynasty poet Lu Tong, in which one line goes, I miss you so much that plum blossoms bloom overnight. Suddenly, they bloom in front of the window. I think it's you. Henyi chose this name, obviously he has someone in mind. Could it be that this person is me? I raised my hand and slapped myself twice. What the hell was I thinking? She is a real school belle. I don't know how many guys were chasing her back then. She is even more outstanding now. How could she possibly fall for me? I stopped thinking about it, took a shower, put on my clothes, and prepared to go to Yunqian Club. Actually, it doesn't matter whether I come here in the morning or not, because I only have one guest, Zhu Yeqing. Zhu Yeqing usually comes here at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon every day, so I don't come here at other times. But after all, I feel bad about taking 20,000 yuan from others every month, so I usually come to the club during the day to help with odd jobs. The club wasn't too far from where I lived, and I wasn't in a hurry, so I didn't take a taxi, but just walked there. When we came to the overpass, we saw many people squatting or sitting on both sides. Most of them were elderly people. They spread a piece of cloth under their feet and told people's fortunes. I don't believe in these things at all. I have always felt that people need to control their own destiny. If those fortune tellers are really capable, they don't have to squat on the overpass every day. So when I saw these fortune tellers, I had no intention of stopping at all. Little brother, please stay. Just then, a voice suddenly sounded behind me. I looked back and saw a man, probably around 45 or 46 years old, standing behind me. The man was only about 1.6 meters tall, thin, and a bit hunched, making him look like a rat that had just crawled out of a sewer. This guy has a pair of triangular eyes, a mouth full of yellow teeth, wrinkles all over his face when he smiles, and he has extremely greasy middle-parted hair. The whole person looks extremely uncomfortable, and his appearance is exactly the same as Captain Jia in Underground Traffic Station, which is extremely vulgar. No, it should be a bit more despicable than Captain Jia. I looked at his face, which made me want to rush up and punch him twice, and I couldn't help but marvel at the magic of the creator. There are so many kinds of ugly and ugly things in the world. What's the matter? I asked him, suppressing the physical and mental discomfort. Little brother, I see that you look gloomy. I'm afraid you have encountered something recently. And the gloomy aura is in the inner palace. It is likely that there is a problem at home, right? I was stunned when I heard his words. I was a little surprised that this guy, who looked like this, was actually a fortune teller. What is even more surprising is that what he said was quite accurate. But when I saw the cunning in his triangular eyes, I immediately understood what was going on. These fortune tellers are all shrewd people. I don't know how many people they have seen coming and going every day. They usually try to cheat first. If they can bluff the people, they will. If they can't, then forget it. This guy is obviously trying to bluff me. You're mistaken. Everything is fine at home. I smiled at him. That's not right. I can't be wrong. Something must be wrong in your family. He looked at me and touched his chin in a pretentious manner. I knew that my hesitation just now must have made him see something, and he wanted to continue to bluff me. I smiled and said, okay, even if what you said just now is correct, this doesn't count. Tell me what else you saw. If it's correct, I'm willing to give you money. Don't worry, little brother. Let me take a closer look at your face. When he heard what I said, he immediately became energetic, and his triangular eyes kept looking at my face. Okay, now that you've figured out something, tell me quickly. If you don't, I'll leave. I said impatiently. Little brother, don't be fooled by my ugly appearance, but I am definitely not a liar. No matter when, you must remember that you can't judge a person by his appearance. A strange person must have a strange appearance. Okay, tell me or not. If you don't, I'm leaving. Seeing that he was going to talk nonsense again, I raised my foot and was about to leave. The guy grabbed my sleeve and said quickly, I can see that you have good luck with women recently. The red one star is moving in your fate palace. I'm afraid your luck with women is not small. Romance luck. When I heard his words, I was stunned. Although I have been unlucky recently, I met a few women for unknown reasons: Zhu Yeqing, Mu Xiaowan, and Han Yi. Moreover, there seemed to be some entanglement between him and these three women. Could it be that this guy was really an expert who could even see this? What else did you see? I asked him. 1 red apricot leaves, 3 peach blossoms bloom. Little brother, if I'm not mistaken, you should have 3 peach blossoms now. Fuck, master. I looked at the guy's wretched face and was immediately shocked. Chapter 17, Good Fortune in the Mortal World. A red apricot blossoms, a red apricot goes out of the wall, isn't it talking about Ji Miao? The 3 peach blossoms just match the 3 women I met recently: Zhu Yeqing, Mu Xiaowan, and Han Yi. Damn, is this guy really an expert? I looked at his wretched face carefully a few more times, and apart from making me feel like vomiting, I didn't see any trace of a hermit in him. What else did you see? I continued to ask him, wanting to test the depth of this master. I see that besides having a peach blossom face, you also have a promising appearance, which means that your fortune will turn for the better soon. Your future fortune will be extremely valuable, and it is not something I can predict. He shook his head as he spoke, looking unfathomable. I knew that other than this he couldn't say anything else, and the fortune-telling session was over. Yes, what you said is very useful to me, but unfortunately, I don't have any cash on me, so I'm afraid I can't give you the money. I smiled at him and prepared to leave. Unexpectedly, the guy stopped me, chuckled twice, took out his mobile phone and opened the payment code. It's okay if you don't have cash. I can accept payment through QR code. I was stunned for a moment. I didn't expect that this guy was so well prepared. I can't get it for free this time. After some bargaining with this guy, I finally paid $100 for the fortune-telling fee. Since this guy had such a bad image, I didn't want to talk to him anymore, so I paid and left. But I didn't know that guy had been standing on the overpass, watching my back until he could no longer see me. He frowned and said to himself, "This boy has good fortune in this mortal world. He will definitely be extraordinary in the future. My Qingwu technique will not be wrong." But then he slapped his thigh heavily. Damn it, if I had known earlier, I would have learned more from that old blind man. Although I can see that he is a rising star now, I can't see the direction of his future fortune. It's a pity. After a moment, he smiled and continued, "Meeting him today means that we are destined to be together. Maybe we can meet again in the future. Maybe our good fortune will come to him." Of course, I had no idea that the guy was watching me leave like a lovesick woman, but I had some thoughts about what he said. Although he doesn't look that good, today's fortune-telling still surprised me a little. Is it really like he said, that I am lucky in love? The 3 women around me now: Zhu Yeqing is cold and arrogant, Mu Xiaowan is young and beautiful, and Han Yi is pretty and intellectual. These 3 women are all too outstanding for me. Is there really some story between me and them? But this thought just flashed through my mind. That guy didn't look like a serious fortune teller. Even if he was, I didn't believe in it. I am now a divorced man with nothing, not even a decent job. Not to mention Zhu Yeqing, even if it's Mu Xiaowan and Han Yi, I don't dare to think that there will be any development with them. Those guys must be talking nonsense. Damn it, I wasted $100. What's the point of rising to prominence? My good luck is coming in the next few days, but I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow. Isn't this nonsense? I had already determined in my heart that the guy was talking nonsense and was worried about his $100. When I arrived at the club, Sister Lan was in the lobby and I greeted her. I can also see these days that Sister Lan is a very serious person. In the club, almost everyone is afraid of her. She is very strict with everyone, except me. Every time she sees me, Sister Lan's face, which still retains the charm of a middle-aged woman, will bloom with a gentle smile, which is completely different from how she treats others. I know very well in my heart that this is not because of how big my face is, it is all because of Zhu Yeqing. Zhu Yeqing is the real boss here, and now she has chosen me for some unknown reason. Sister Lan is a smart person and of course she won't offend me. I stayed in the club doing nothing until the afternoon. Zhu Yeqing usually asked me to give her a massage every afternoon. Sure enough, at around 4 o'clock, Sister Lan pushed the door open and walked in, saying to me with a smile that the distinguished guest was waiting for me in room 209. I packed up the things I needed for the massage and came to room 209. Zhu Yeqing had already finished his shower and was lying on the massage bed. Seeing me come in, she said calmly, "Let's start." I walked over, sat down in front of her, put my hands on her back, and couldn't help but tremble slightly. Although she was extremely beautiful, I was able to remain calm when facing her before I knew her identity. But today, I already know that she is the beautiful snake that people in Hangzhou talk about. Thinking about all the legends about her that have been made up, it is really hard to calm down when I face her again. I tried to stay calm and helped her complete the massage. Are you worried today? I covered Zhu Yiqing's perfect back with the bath towel again. She turned her head and looked at me and asked. Those eyes seemed to be able to see through the deepest secrets in my heart. I didn't expect this woman to be so sensitive, which made me a little nervous. I know your identity, Mr. Zhu. I said directly without hiding anything from her. Oh, so you knew that? No wonder. Zhu Yiqing smiled faintly, sat up wrapped in a bath towel, and her two perfect long legs without any flaws hung down. It took all my strength to stop myself from looking at those legs. She is so beautiful that I am afraid that if I look at her too much, I will lose control of myself and do something bad, because her charm also brings danger. She is a strong woman and has the capital to be strong. I absolutely cannot afford to offend such a woman. Now that you know my identity, what do you think? Zhu Yiqing looked at me and asked lightly. I can't understand why you chose me. I took a deep breath and asked the question that had been puzzling me. Zhu Yiqing and I have never met each other. For a woman like her, I wonder how many outstanding men would be willing to fall at her feet if they were willing. But why did she choose to let me be her personal masseur? Zhu Yiqing did not answer me, but looked at me quietly, picked up the lady's cigarette, pinched it with her slender fingers, put it to her red lips, lit it, and gently exhaled a puff of smoke. Shrouded in smoke, her face, which could bring disaster to the country and the people, seemed covered with a mysterious veil, giving her an added layer of beauty like a half-covered beauty. Chapter 18. He made a duck. Zhu Yiqing exhaled a puff of smoke and said lightly, "Don't have any inappropriate thoughts. I have my own reasons for choosing you, but I don't want to tell you." Hearing her words, I smiled bitterly. Since Zhu Yiqing said so, there is no point in me asking further. Then I'll take my leave, Mr. Zhu. I gathered my things and headed for the door. Remember, you and I are just a masseur and a customer. There are some things I hope you don't think too much about. This is for your own good. When I opened the door, I heard Zhu Yiqing's faint voice behind me. I nodded, said nothing, and walked out. Zhu Yiqing's words were very clear and could be considered a warning. She had already made it clear that my relationship with her was just that of a masseur and a customer, so I shouldn't have any other ideas. There are countless people who want to get close to a woman like Zhu Yiqing and gain some benefits from her. She is warning me not to have such thoughts. I am a person who is very clear-headed. Although I do have some ideas in my mind, I will never ask her for any benefits, as this will make me look lowly in front of her. For people like them who are in high positions, what they value is equal exchange of value. To her, I am just a masseur. If I want to get any benefits from her, I must have enough qualifications to exchange. She would never let me get any benefits beyond my ability just because I pressed her a few times. There is no love without reason in this world, and of course there is no giving without reason. I am very clear about this. Today's service has been completed and there is no need for me to stay in the club anymore. As soon as I returned to the lounge and changed my clothes, Han Yi's message came. She sent me a hotel location and told me that I had to be there before 6:30. Looking at Han Yi's commanding message, I smiled bitterly. Now all my secrets are in her hands, I really can't afford to offend this lady. As he walked out of the club, he ran into Zhu Yiqing's bodyguard, a burly man with a peony tattoo on his bald head. He saw me, smiled and nodded at me, and I quickly nodded politely to him as well. The man walked past me without saying anything. His image carries an absolute sense of oppression, and it would be difficult for ordinary people to remain calm standing in front of him. However, I have met him several times, and he, like Zhu Yiqing, seems to have an inexplicable kindness towards me. What on earth was going on? I couldn't figure out what it was about me that made them value me. Han Yi sent me another message, saying that everyone had arrived and asked me to hurry over. I took a taxi and went straight to their hotel. In the box, 8 or 9 of my former classmates had already arrived, and they all had a good relationship with me. As soon as they entered the door, everyone started greeting each other warmly, and Han Yi naturally became the protagonist of the banquet. She was the school belle back then and she was also a good student. She went abroad to work after graduation and now she is a manager after returning to China. She is one of the most successful students among our classmates. At the dinner table, everyone kept praising Han Yi. By the way, Chang'an, why didn't Ji Yu Miao come today? A classmate looked at me and asked curiously. I smiled awkwardly, and Han Yi turned to look at me with some worry in his eyes. She's busy with work and had to work overtime today, so she didn't come. I said with a smile as if nothing had happened. What kind of important work is this? You didn't even attend a reunion with your old classmates. Chang'an, you're really something. You come out to have fun and let your wife work overtime. Someone joked with a smile. I smiled and said nothing. After all, they didn't know about my divorce with Ji Yu Miao. Okay, let's all drink, and then after dinner let's go sing a couple of songs, okay? Han Yi changed the subject without leaving a trace. After hearing Han Yi's suggestion, everyone immediately became interested and started discussing which KTV had better sound effects, which private room was cleaner, and even two old perverts started discussing which princess was more attractive. I glanced at Han Yi and nodded to her to thank her for helping me out. Han Yi smiled at me, his smile as bright as a flower. Hey, everyone is here, it's so lively, why didn't you call me? Just as everyone was talking with their heads down, the door of the box was suddenly pushed open and a man and a woman walked in. The people who came were none other than Ji Yu Miao and her adulterer Liuan. I didn't expect Ji Yu Miao to appear here, and with that Liuan. Looking at the two of them, the anger in my heart suddenly surged up. Han Yi on the side looked at Ji Yu Miao with a look of surprise on his face. Hey, isn't this Ji Yu Miao? Come and sit down, come and sit down. Just now Chang'an said you were working overtime, but I didn't expect you to come. Someone quickly stood up and wanted to give his seat to Ji Yu Miao. However, the people around him helped him, and now everyone has realized that something is wrong. Because Ji Yu Miao came in with another man, and you had to be blind to see that there was something wrong with my expression. The guy who had just stood up to give up his seat sat down angrily, and the whole box fell into silence for a while. Ji Yu Miao, why are you here? Han Yi broke the silence and asked Ji Yu Miao. Han Yi, we are old classmates. We haven't seen each other for several years. You organized a class reunion but didn't even invite me. That's really not nice of you. As Ji Yu Miao spoke, he smiled at Han Yi, but there was a hint of sarcasm in that smile. Ji Yu Miao, who is this? Someone asked who the man next to Ji Yu Miao was. Ji Yu Miao smiled and hugged Liuan's arm, his face full of happiness. He is my husband, Liuan. He came here with me today. Please take good care of him. What, he is your husband, then Chang'an? For a moment, everyone looked at me with surprise on their faces. Feeling the big guy's gazes, I felt as if I had been slapped hard in the face countless times, filling my chest with rage and making it difficult for me to even breathe. I divorced him. Didn't Chang'an tell you? Ji Yu Miao pretended to be shocked. You guys actually got divorced. When did it happen? Everyone started asking questions at once. That's enough. You still have the nerve to come here. I could no longer control the anger in my heart and yelled at the adulterous couple. Chang'an, shut up. You shouldn't be here. Ji Yu Miao turned to everyone and said with a sneer on his face, I don't think you all know this yet, but your good classmate, the well-behaved Chang'an, is now a gigolo. Chapter 19 The Traitor Around Zhu Yeqing. What, Ji Yu Miao, what did you say? Chang'an makes ducks. What kind of ducks? Are they selling roast ducks? You are so stupid, roast duck, what duck are you talking about? As soon as Ji Yu Miao finished speaking, everyone looked towards me and started whispering. Han Yi also looked at me with a complicated expression on his face, some disbelief and some confusion. Ji Yu Miao hugged Liuan, and they both looked at me with pride. I know very well that it was that bitch Ji Yu Miao who came here today to humiliate me. Shut the fuck up, you bitch! I yelled at Ji Yu Miao. How dare you scold me, Chang'an? Do you think I don't know the bad things you have done? You are now working in the Yunqian Club and being a gigolo there. Don't you dare to admit it. Ji Yu Miao pointed at me with harsh words, and Liuan beside her also had a sneer on his face. Everyone knows what the Yunqian Club is. My cousin often frequents there. I have asked him to find out all your details. You are working as a male host there. Liuan looked down at me with a sneer, as if he was sure of victory. These two bitches investigated me. I took a deep breath. I didn't expect Luan and Jiu Miao to investigate me secretly. It must be because they were suppressed by Zhu Yeqing that day and couldn't raise their heads. They wanted to find out what was going on, so they investigated me. The whole city of Hangzhou knows that Yunqian Club is not a serious place. Every day, countless rich men and women go there to have fun. This is almost an open secret in the whole city of Hangzhou. And since I work there, it's hard not to think too much. Bullshit, you're the type who's a gigolo and a male host. I yelled at Luan angrily. Oh, you're not a duck. Then do you dare to tell us what kind of job you do in there? As soon as I finished speaking, Jiu Miao spoke with a mocking look on his face. I looked at her angrily. They came here today and must have investigated everything about my life in Yunqian. I'm a masseur, not a duck. But if I tell this story, no one will believe it. I looked at Jiu Miao angrily. I was stunned for a moment and didn't know how to explain it. Why, you have nothing to say. You are just a coward. It's a good thing I divorced you, otherwise you might have contracted some disease. Jiu Miao looked disgusted. Seeing that I was silent at this time, the classmates around me looked at me with different emotions in their eyes. Why is Chen Changan silent? Could it be that what Jiu Miao said was right? He has a proper job, how could he be a gigolo? Jiu Miao used to be married to him, so how could what he said be wrong? Look, he has nothing to say now, so I guess he was right. Why would Chen Changan become a gigolo? It's really embarrassing to be his classmate. If this gets out, it will make people laugh to death. The discussions around me kept coming into my ears, and the looks from people around me were like slaps in the face. I felt a roar in my ears and I couldn't hear anything. Now I was as numb as a robot. I just wanted to leave this place, the sooner the better. I didn't look at their gazes and walked straight to the door. Someone behind me was calling my name, but I ignored it and rushed out of the hotel in one breath. Outside, in the night, it started raining without anyone noticing. I raised my head and let the cold rain hit my face. The cold feeling alleviated the shame and anger in my heart a little, and also made me let out a sigh of relief. Jiu Miao came here deliberately to humiliate me today, and she was very successful. In front of all my closest classmates, she slapped me hard in the face and ruthlessly trampled on the little self-esteem I had left. I didn't act like a fool, but I knew that in that situation, no matter what I said, no one would believe me. Jiu Miao was very clear about this, so she did it very successfully. I'm sorry. I didn't know today would turn out like this. At this time, a voice sounded behind me. It was Han Yi. I turned around and saw Han Yi standing behind me, standing in the rain with me, his hair already wet. I don't blame you. I smiled at her, but I knew that smile would be uglier than crying. I drove here, let's go back. Han Yi said, raising his hand and grabbing my arm. No need. I took a step back and broke free from her hand. I want to be alone now, just alone. I said to her lightly. Today is the greatest humiliation I have ever suffered in my life. I really need to be alone and quiet. At least now, I don't want to have anyone around me. What are you going to do? Don't be too depressed. Han Yi looked at me, his eyes full of worry. Don't worry, I'm not a child. I won't do anything stupid. Don't follow me. Let me be alone. As I said this, I turned around, waved to Han Yi with my back to him, and walked towards the street in the rain. In the heavy rain, I was soaked and looked as miserable as a dog. Chen Changan. Han Yi called me from behind. Anything else? I turned around and asked her. Han Yi bit his lip and stood in the rain for more than 10 seconds. Finally, he asked me, is what Jiu Miao said today true? I laughed when I heard her words. It turned out that she didn't believe me either. It turned out that she also thought I was a gigolo. I looked up at the sky, laughed a few times, then stared at Han Yi and said to her solemnly, I don't care what you think, I just want to tell you that I, Chen Changan, will never be a gigolo even if I starve to death. Having said that, I turned and left without hesitation. I believe you. Han Yi's voice came from behind. But this time I didn't look back. I turned in front like a zombie and walked into a dim intersection. I was walking alone in the rain, and the rain had soaked me all over. There was no pedestrian on the cold street, only the occasional passing vehicle splashing water. I just walked aimlessly, not knowing where I should go, nor having thought about where I should go. I just really wanted to be alone and quiet, and walk for a while. I don't know how long I walked, but the rain had stopped. I walked over to the wet seat and sat down nonchalantly. Thinking about the humiliation that Jiu Miao and Liuan inflicted on me in the hotel, the looks my classmates gave me, and their discussions, I smiled bitterly and reached into my pocket to take out a cigarette. I really wanted to smoke a cigarette now. It's just a pity that after walking in the rain for so long, my cigarette has been completely wetted by the rain. I looked around and found a black car parked not far from the roadside. The driver's side window was open and the driver was smoking. He was a middle-aged man in his 40s. I stood up and walked towards him, wanting to borrow a cigarette. But before I could walk over, another black car drove over and drove close to that car. "Have you brought the things?" The black car that just arrived unrolled the window and asked the other car. "I brought it. This is the bidding document for Jinding Group's West City project." The middle-aged man at the beginning took out a cardboard bag and threw it into the new car. "Well done. If you can get the project in the west of the city this time, Beijing will arrange a villa for you," the person in the new black car said lightly. "Thank you, Mr. Zhao. If you need me in the future, please let me know." The two nodded, started the car, and drove away in opposite directions. When the car passed by me, the people in the car glanced at me, but didn't pay much attention. Now I am soaked all over and standing alone on the roadside, like a homeless vagrant. Who would care about a vagrant? Just looking at the direction where the black car left, my heart was filled with turmoil. Jinding Group, isn't he that Zhu Yeqing's company? The middle-aged man just now was a traitor in Zhu Yeqing's company, and he was selling the company's bidding plan. Chapter 20 Stigdess's request. Zhu Yeqing found a traitor in her company who was selling out her company's secrets. I know that there is a municipal development project covering hundreds of acres of land in the west of Hangzhou. In the whole of Hangzhou, there are only a handful of groups that are qualified to compete for this project. However, those who are qualified to compete for this project are all well-known figures in Hangzhou, at least in terms of status, they are on par with Zhu Yeqing. It is said that this project has an investment of over 10 billion yuan and is a big piece of cake, so I don't know how fierce the private competition surrounding this project is. Someone cultivated a traitor in Zhu Yeqing's company and got their internal bidding plan, which was a fatal blow to Zhu Yeqing. Looking at the rear of the departing car, I felt my cold body gradually warming up. Zhu Yeqing believed that there was a traitor in her company. The fact that this traitor was able to obtain her company's bidding plan showed that he had certain power in the company and was most likely the manager of a department. Having such a person in the company would be a great loss to Zhu Yeqing. What would happen if I could help her find this traitor? I recalled the appearance of the middle-aged man, making sure I wouldn't remember it wrong. At this point I was getting a little excited. A superior person like Zhu Yeqing would never give anything to others. In their world, everything is an equal exchange. In other words, if you want to get something from her, you must have the capital to get it. A traitor lurking in the company's top management, what can this letter of allegiance get from Zhu Yeqing? I don't know what I'll get, but I'm sure that at least it won't allow me to continue working as a masseur. My marriage with Jiu Miao and today's humiliation all stem from my own lack of strength. I only have one thought in my mind now, and that is to climb up and become the best. One day, I will return all the humiliation they suffered today. I clenched my fists tightly. I knew that what I saw today was an opportunity for me to come into contact with the upper class. If I am not mistaken, the Mr. Zhao mentioned by the traitor should be Zhao Sihai of Hangzhou Sihai Group. Sihai Group is the largest and richest company in Hangzhou, and Zhao Sihai is the only person in Hangzhou who does not buy into Zhu Yeqing's ideas. It is said that 3 years ago, at a cocktail party, Zhao Sihai got drunk and publicly said that one day he would get Zhu Yeqing into his bed. Unfortunately, the next morning, someone found Zhao Sihai on the roadside. He was put into a sack over his head and thrown on the roadside. He was beaten like a pig's head. No one knew who did it. From then on, Zhao Sihai never dared to say anything about Zhu Yeqing in public. However, anyone with common sense would know that it was Zhu Yeqing who had someone do this, but Zhao Sihai had no evidence and could not openly turn against Zhu Yeqing. However, the feud between the two of them was completely sealed from then on. This time, Zhao Sihai bribed the people around Zhu Yeqing, obviously intending to bring Zhu Yeqing down. By some strange coincidence, I actually encountered this opportunity. I knew that this was my chance and I must seize it. Thinking of this, my originally depressed mood was suddenly filled with motivation again. I looked at the time and it was already past 1 in the morning, so I took out my cell phone and hailed a taxi directly back to where I lived. I was standing at the door and had just opened it with the access card. Before I entered the room, the door of the next room opened and Hanyi was standing at the door, looking at me with a worried look on his face. "You're back." Hanyi was obviously relieved when he saw me. I nodded to her. "I'm sorry about what happened today. I wasn't the one who notified Ji Meow. Someone posted it on WeChat Moments and she saw it, so." Hanyi explained to me carefully. "It's okay, this has nothing to do with you." I said to Hanyi. Are you still feeling bad?" Hanyi asked me carefully. "I'm fine, don't worry." I smiled at her. Hanyi nodded. "You came back so late. I was so worried. You are soaked. Go take a hot bath and take some cold medicine before going to bed. Be careful not to catch a cold. This is the first time I noticed that you are so long-winded, like an old woman." I smiled and made a little joke with her. Hanyi's mouth puffed up and he said angrily, "You are the old woman." A little joke immediately resolved the awkwardness between us. "Then I'll go take a shower," I said to Hanyi. She nodded, and I walked directly into the room. Just as I was about to close the door, Hanyi's voice rang again, "Chen Changan, I believe you will never do that kind of work." I turned around, smiled and nodded at her, and said, "Thank you, it's getting late, you should go to bed." Hanyi nodded and walked towards his room. I closed the door, took off my clothes, walked to the bathroom, and stood under the shower. The resentment of being humiliated by Ji Meow was no longer in my heart. There was only one question in my mind, which was what today's secret could get me from Zhu Yiqing. The world is fair. As long as you work hard, you will reap rewards. At the same time, this world is unfair because the chance for an ordinary person to become a high-ranking official is almost zero. It's not that you don't have the ability, but that there is an invisible barrier between each class, and people live in their own circles. Old farmers in the countryside meet every day to discuss how to grow the land well, how to apply fertilizer, and when to water in order to harvest more food. But the cruel reality is that no matter how well you grow your crops, you will always be just a farmer. Each class in this society is basically solidified. It is almost impossible for an ordinary person to jump from his own class to another class relying solely on his own strength. I am an ordinary person, and Zhu Yiqing is a high-ranking official in Hangzhou. Originally, there would be no intersection between her and me, let alone the idea that I could get any help from her. But now it's different. I can help her find the traitor in the company, which means I have the opportunity to make an equal deal with him. Thinking of this, I couldn't hide my excitement and almost stayed awake the whole night. In the morning, I had just fallen asleep when I heard some banging sounds at the door. The noise scared me so much that I jumped up and almost thought my house was being demolished. "Who the hell is that?" I yelled in a bad mood when I woke up. "Open the door quickly, you big hooligan." A pleasant girl's voice came from the door. It was Mu Xiaowan who lived opposite me. It turned out to be this aunt. I smiled bitterly, quickly got up from the bed, walked to the door and opened it. Mu Xiaowan was standing at the door, wearing a well-fitting stewardess uniform and pulling a suitcase in her hand. When I saw Mu Xiaowan wearing the stewardess uniform, I was stunned for a moment. I couldn't help but look at her long white legs a few more times. There was only one word in my mind, that is, beautiful. Mu Xiaowan is a very beautiful girl with a great figure. Now wearing a stewardess uniform, she looks a lot more energetic. Especially this kind of uniform, which inadvertently satisfies men's inner fantasies about beauties and uniforms. "Does it look good?" Mu Xiaowan looked at me and asked with a smile. It looks good, it's so beautiful." I answered subconsciously, and as I spoke I glanced at Mu Xiaowan's thighs. Humph, I was right. You are complete pervert. Mu Xiaowan snorted coldly, pointed her finger at my forehead, and said fiercely, "Sister, you are so beautiful, why don't you let others see you?" I felt helpless. HMPH, you're lucky you know how to talk. I forgive your disrespect. Mu Xiaowan crossed her arms across her chest, looking superior. By the way, I saw you talking to the woman next door yesterday. Do you know each other? Mu Xiaowan stared at me as if she was interrogating a prisoner. I know him. We are college classmates. I explained to her with a wry smile. What, she is your college classmate? You big pervert, you must have known that she lives here before you came here, right? Mu Xiaowan looked me up and down. Sister, we have spent the night together twice, and I never touched you. Don't you feel guilty about calling me a pervert? I always feel helpless when facing this woman, Mu Xiaowan. HMPH, you are the eldest sister, your whole family are eldest sisters. It was obvious that Mu Xiaowan was a little dissatisfied with me calling her eldest sister. Okay, I give up. Is there anything I can do for you, auntie? I quickly begged her for mercy. I'm going out and will probably be back in a week. Mu Xiaowan said to me while pulling the suitcase. I was not surprised at all. As a flight attendant, of course she had to work. I just didn't know where she was going to fly this time. Then what do you want from me? I asked her curiously. Mu Xiaowan took out an access card and threw it to me. I reached out to take it and looked at her blankly. This is the access card to my room. I bought a few pots of flowers a few days ago. Please help me take care of them when I go out. If I kill them, be careful or I will punish you when I come back. Mu Xiaowan said this while raising her fist towards me with a fierce look on her face. Is that it? I asked Mu Xiaowan. She nodded, and I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She almost broke down my door so early in the morning. This girl just wanted me to help her take care of her flowers. Wasn't it okay to just call or WeChat her? No, I don't think I have her phone number or WeChat yet. Come on, add me on WeChat and report to me at any time if anything happens. Mu Xiaowan said, took out her mobile phone, showed the QR code, and said to me. I quickly scanned the code and added her. Mu Xiaowan shook her phone and said to me, remember, report to me every day. Don't be lazy. Okay, I get it, auntie. Your words are orders, and I will never dare to disobey. I said to her quickly. Just then, the door of the next room opened and Han Yi walked out. He looked at Mu Xiaowan and me with a strange look on his face. Chapter 21 The Absolutely Oppressive Woman. Are you awake? Han Yi glanced at me, then smiled at Mu Xiaowan. Hello. Hello. Mu Xiaowan also smiled at Han Yi. I heard that you are his classmate. We will be neighbors from now on. Nice to meet you. Mu Xiaowan said as she extended her hand. Han Yi also stretched out his hand and shook hands with her generously. Letting go of my hand, Mu Xiaowan pulled the suitcase and said to me, I'm leaving now. Remember to take care of you for me, or I'll show you how I'll deal with you when I come back. Mu Xiaowan shook her fist at me. Han Yi was right next to me. I was extremely embarrassed at the moment and said to her, go away, aunt. Mu Xiaowan snorted and walked into the elevator with her suitcase. You seem to have a good relationship with her. Watching Mu Xiaowan leave, Han Yi said to me with a faint smile. I felt uncomfortable being stared at by her, so I laughed dryly and said, we are just ordinary friends, ordinary friends. Huh, can an ordinary friend give you the key to her house? Han Yi pointed at the access card in my hand. I smiled bitterly, knowing that this matter might be difficult to explain clearly, but I was afraid that Han Yi would really misunderstand, so I thought I should still explain it. Listen to my explanation. Things are not what you think. I'm sorry, I don't have time to listen to your explanation. I have to go to work soon, and you don't need to explain to me. After Han Yi finished speaking, he turned around and left. Today she was wearing a professional suit. Under the black short skirt, a pair of round long legs wrapped in black stockings were revealed, and on her feet were a pair of black slender high heels. Their high heels made a crisp sound on the ground, and her graceful figure swayed with her footsteps, making her back look full of endless temptation. I looked at her back and was stunned for a moment. Han Yi walked to the elevator entrance, turned around and looked at me. She found that I was staring at her, and her pretty face couldn't help but blush. What are you looking at? Look at you, you are so beautiful. I blurted out without thinking. No wonder people say you are pervert, you really are one. Han Yi blushed and spat at me lightly. I laughed dryly twice and thought to myself that I was just a mean person. I guess I need to change this bad habit in the future. I waved goodbye to Han Yi, went back to my room and slept for a while, and then went to Yunqian Club in the afternoon. Around 4 o'clock, Sister Lan came to ask me to get ready, saying that Zhu Yeqing had arrived and was waiting for me in room 206. I packed my things and headed towards room 206. But this time I was obviously a little excited. I didn't know what reward I would get after telling Zhu Yeqing the secret. Zhu Yeqing in the room had finished taking a shower and was lying on the massage bed. I walked over, helped her pull off the bath towel, revealing her almost perfect back, then poured massage oil on it and gently massaged her. I didn't go straight to the point and tell her that there was a traitor in the company as soon as I entered the room. I had to keep my composure, otherwise she would look down on me. I massaged her for half an hour until Zhu Yeqing said it was enough. Then I stopped and covered her back with the bath towel again. But I didn't leave, instead I sat down on the chair next to me. Zhu Yeqing noticed my abnormality, covered his towel with his hands and sat up, and asked me, anything else? I tried not to look at her exposed shoulders and the pair of beautiful legs under the bath towel and just nodded. Oh, what's the matter? Tell me. Zhu Yeqing said as he took out a lady's cigarette, lit it for himself, exhaled a puff of smoke, and said to me. Ms. Zhu, is your company bidding for a project in the west of the city recently? I asked her after considering my tone. Yes. Zhu Yeqing flicked the ash off his cigarette. Jinding Group's bidding for the project in the west of the city was public, and almost the entire city of Hangzhou knew about it, so my words did not surprise her at all. There is a traitor in your company who sold the bidding plan to Zhao Sihai. I told her directly. What did you say? Hearing what I said, Zhu Yeqing frowned slightly, and stood there in a daze with the cigarette between his fingers. Are you telling the truth? After about 10 seconds, Zhu Yeqing threw the cigarette butt into the ashtray, turned around and asked me. At this moment, the initial shock was no longer visible on her face, but instead it was calm, with no sign of joy or anger. This woman is patient. Yes, I accidentally saw their transaction last night, but I don't know the man's name. But I will definitely recognize him if I meet him. I said to Zhu Yeqing. Okay, you go wait for me at the door. Zhu Yeqing said lightly after hearing what I said. I nodded and walked to the door. After waiting for less than 5 minutes, Zhu Yeqing, who was already dressed, came out. She was still wearing the bright red cheongsam with a high slit and a pair of red high heels. It is said that she wore this outfit when she got married, but her husband died suddenly on the wedding night. Over the years, Zhu Yeqing has always worn this outfit and has never changed it. Follow me. Zhu Yeqing walked out of the room and said to me. I nodded and followed her. Zhu Yeqing's figure is almost perfect. When she walks, her waist twists like a snake, especially under the high-slit cheongsam. Her slender legs are exposed from time to time, which is simply the biggest temptation for men. Zhu Yeqing is like an extremely beautiful snake, full of temptation from head to toe, making people want to get closer, but along with the beauty there are endless dangers. If anyone really offends her, he will definitely be killed without a burial place. Zhu Yeqing has been in Hangzhou for so many years. I don't know how many men have coveted her beauty and wanted to turn her into a plaything in bed. But no one did it. Many of those who had offended her disappeared inexplicably and never appeared again. People in Hangzhou said that she had thrown those people into the Qiantang River to feed the fish. Regardless of whether these legends are true or false, no one dares to mess with Zhu Yeqing in Hangzhou now, and no one will risk their life to mess with her. I followed Zhu Yeqing out of the club. Zhu Yeqing's car was parked at the door, and the bodyguard with a peony tattoo on his bald head was sitting in the driver's seat. Seeing us coming out, he quickly got out of the car and helped Zhu Yeqing open the back door. Zhu Yeqing got in, and I opened the passenger door and got in. Go to the company. I have informed all department managers that the meeting will start in 10 minutes. Zhu Yeqing said lightly while sitting in the car. The bald bodyguard didn't say anything, just nodded and started the car. He drove very fast but very steadily. After about 10 minutes, we stopped downstairs of the Jinding Group. Entering the elevator, the bald bodyguard pressed the button for the top floor. Zhu Yeqing's office and conference room were on the top floor of the Jinding building. Watching the elevator rising continuously, I felt a little nervous. I know that I will be able to identify the traitor in Zhu Yeqing's company soon. The reason for my nervousness was not because I was afraid that I would not be able to recognize him. Last night, the man's appearance was deeply imprinted in my mind. As long as I saw him, I would definitely be able to recognize him the first time. He was able to obtain Zhu Yeqing's bid and had certain power in the company, so he should be in the conference room at this time. What I am nervous about is what will happen to that guy if I help Zhu Yeqing find the traitor. Zhu Yeqing has a bad reputation, and I guess his end will not be good. I sighed, but it was none of my business. Since he took the initiative to become a traitor, he must be responsible for his actions. And if I don't find him, how can I have a chance to get promoted? Thinking of this, I clenched my fists, took a deep breath, and calmed myself down. The elevator door opened and we came to the door of a room. The bold bodyguard opened the door and inside was a grand conference room. A dozen people in suits were sitting in front of a round computer conference table, talking. "Hello, President. Hello, President." Seeing Zhu Yeqing come in, the crowd that had been talking suddenly quieted down and kept greeting Zhu Yeqing. Zhu Yeqing didn't say a word, but walked to the middle seat and sat down, then glanced around coldly. Under her gaze, everyone fell silent, even their breathing became cautious. I stood behind Zhu Yeqing and felt her majesty for the first time. To these people, Zhu Yeqing was oppressive enough. I stared at a middle-aged man sitting in the third seat to Zhu Yeqing's left. I recognized him at first glance. He was the man I saw last night. "Boss Zhu, you called everyone to a meeting today. What instructions do you have?" At this time, a middle-aged woman asked Zhu Yeqing carefully. Zhu Yeqing glanced at everyone again, and then said calmly, "The purpose of today's meeting is to find the traitor in the company." "What, traitor?" Zhu Yeqing's words stunned everyone in the room, followed by a burst of discussion. I kept looking at the middle-aged man and took in his expression. When Zhu Yeqing said he wanted to find the traitor, his face became obviously panicked and his eyes were filled with fear. "Mr. Zhu, is there a traitor in our company?" It was the same middle-aged woman who asked Zhu Yeqing. Obviously, this woman should be highly valued by Zhu Yeqing in the company. "Yes, someone sold the bidding documents for the company's West City project to C-High Group," Zhu Yeqing said, rubbing his forehead with his hand. "What, this, how is this possible?" Everyone in the room was completely shocked. "You know, Jinding Group has invested almost all its energy in the project in the west of the city. If this project fails, Jinding Group will definitely not have an easy time in the future. The person who sold out this project wanted to kill the Jinding Group." Everyone in the office was talking angrily, except for the middle-aged man, whose face had turned pale and even had cold sweat on his head. However, in order to conceal his fear, he pretended to be angry like the people around him. Zhu Yeqing looked back at me, and I knew what she meant. She was asking me if I had found the traitor. I nodded slightly to her and told her that the man was in the room. Zhu Yeqing placed his hand on the conference table and tapped it twice gently. Everyone in the room immediately fell silent. "Since I have called everyone to a meeting today, I already know who the traitor is. Now I will give you one last chance. If you come out on your own, you may still have a way out." Zhu Yeqing's tone was calm. As soon as he spoke, the entire conference room fell silent. Everyone looked at each other, wanting to see who the traitor was. "I'll count to 3. Zhu Yeqing raised 3 fingers and began counting down. I kept staring at the middle-aged man. He was obviously on the verge of collapse. Cold sweat kept dripping down his head and his face was extremely pale. But he seemed to have a last glimmer of struggle, and he never stood up until Zhu Yeqing's 3 fingers fell completely. "I've already given you a chance. If that's the case, don't blame me." Zhu Yeqing said this while turning back to look at me. I understood what she meant. She wanted me to point out the traitor. I raised my hand, pointed at the sweaty middle-aged man, and said to Zhu Yeqing, "It's him. He was the one who made the deal with Zhao Sihai last night." What nonsense are you talking about? The middle-aged man is like a dying fish, making his final struggle. But Zhu Yeqing didn't want to give him another chance. He nodded to the bold bodyguard on the side, walked directly to the middle-aged man, stretched out his hand and picked him up, just like picking up a chicken. "Ask him everything he knows, then break her legs and throw her into the street," Zhu Yeqing said calmly. Chapter 22 Zhu Yeqing's story. The bold man picked up the middle-aged man and walked out without paying any attention to his pleas for mercy. Zhu Yeqing didn't even look at him. The entire conference room was silent and no one dared to say a word. Although that man was everyone's colleague, no one spoke to plead for him. Zhu Yeqing waved his hand and said, "Go away." Hearing her words, everyone in the room immediately stood up and carefully left the meeting room. Zhu Yeqing lowered his head, not knowing what he was thinking. I was thinking about the scene of the man being dragged out just now and Zhu Yeqing's words. That man will have his legs broken and be thrown out on the street, all because of me. It was my report that caused him to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. My mood is a bit complicated right now, and I can't describe how it feels. Come with me. At this moment, Zhu Yeqing stood up and walked to the other side of the conference room, and I hurriedly followed her. There was a door at the back of the conference room. Zhu Yeqing stood in front of the door and entered the password. The door opened, revealing an extremely grand office. The floor of the office is covered with carpet, and there is a huge floor-to-ceiling window in front. Standing in front of the window, you can directly see the Qiantang River rolling in the distance. This is Zhu Yeqing's office. Zhu Yeqing came behind the desk, sat in her boss chair, then pointed with her finger, motioning me to sit in front of her. I walked into the office and sat at my desk. You did a good job today. He is the manager of our project department and knows a lot of company secrets. I didn't expect that he was bribed by Zhao Sihai. Zhu Yeqing said to me. I was a little surprised that the person turned out to be the project manager of Zhu Yeqing's company. No wonder he was able to get the company's bidding plan. It turns out he holds such an important position in the company. If he is not dug out today, the losses suffered by Zhu Yeqing's company in the future will be immeasurable. I know very well in my heart that I have helped Zhu Yeqing a lot today. You helped me, so I can give you anything you want as long as it's not too much. At this time Zhu Yeqing turned his head, not looking at me, but looking at the Qiantang River in the distance outside the window, and said lightly. Hearing her words, I couldn't help but clench my fists and became a little excited. I know that Zhu Yeqing's reward is coming. I helped her dig out the corrupt officials in the company, and she will give me a lot in return. But what do I want? Money? I believe that as long as I ask for my price and as long as my offer is not excessive, Zhu Yeqing will transfer the money to me without hesitation. But in that case, Zhu Yeqing and I would be completely even, she would no longer owe me anything, and there would no longer be any affection between us. Maximize your own interests. There are countless people who try their best to make friends with someone like Zhu Yeqing. I'm doing her a favor now, and it would be the stupidest thing to do to take the money and leave. But if I don't take the money, what else can I ask for? Boss Zhu, I just came across this incident by chance. It is my honor to help you. How dare I ask you for any reward? I thought about it and spoke. If I take the initiative to ask Zhu Yeqing for any benefits, Zhu Yeqing will certainly give them to me, but that would be a shame and people would look down on me. So my strategy is to retreat in order to advance. I kicked the ball to Zhu Yeqing and let her think about it herself. I have helped you so much, what should you give me in return? After hearing what I said, Zhu Yeqing turned around and looked at me again. She just stared at me without saying a word. I tried to stay calm and looked at her calmly. After a while, Zhu Yeqing laughed. She was a woman of extreme beauty. When she smiled, she looked like a gorgeous peony, so beautiful that people dared not look directly at her. You are a smart person, that's good, I like dealing with smart people. Zhu Yeqing said with a smile. Thank you Mr. Zhu for the compliment, I said. Originally I was planning to have you come to my company, but now I've suddenly changed my mind. There's a place that might be more suitable for you. I didn't interrupt her, I just listened to her quietly. There is a bar in Xiaoshar called Qingliang Bar. It will be handed over to you from now on. I only want 10% of the profits. Zhu Yeqing said lightly. Qingliang Bar. When I heard Zhu Yeqing's words, my heart couldn't help but tighten. Although Xiaoshar district is located in the suburbs of Hangzhou, it is not remote and the turnover of a bar there is very considerable. Zhu Yeqing actually entrusted me with the management of a bar. But this is not what shocked me the most. A bar. The reason why it is called this strange-sounding name is that this bar was opened by Zhu Yeqing's husband Dong Liang 7 years ago. Back then, Dong Liang was just a street thug in Xiaoshar who ran a bar, the Qingliang Bar. Of course, the bar wasn't originally called that. He changed his name after he met Zhu Yeqing, and it was derived from a character in both of their names. At that time, Dong Liang had no other assets except a bar. Although the Zhu family, to which Zhu Yeqing belongs, is not considered one of the top wealthy families in Hangzhou, it is also a wealthy family. At that time, Zhu Yeqing was already known as the most beautiful woman in Hangzhou. Dong Liang, a gangster, somehow fell in love with Zhu Yeqing and went to the Zhu family alone to propose to her. Of course, the Zhu family was unwilling and almost beat him out. As a result, Dong Liang took out a knife and cut himself to intimidate the Zhu family. He also spread the word that he would not marry anyone but Zhu Yeqing, and Zhu Yeqing had to marry him. 3 years later, he would come to marry Zhu Yeqing. After returning, he changed the name of the bar to Qingliang Bar, and in just 3 years, he rose from a gangster to an upper-class figure in Hangzhou and founded the Jinding Group. That day, he went to the Zhu family in person and used hundreds of luxury cars to marry Zhu Yeqing. The wedding almost caused a sensation in half of Hangzhou. No one could have expected that he would suddenly die on the night of his wedding, and the cause of death announced publicly was a sudden cerebral hemorrhage. But everyone knows that Dong Liang's death is not that simple. There are even rumors that Zhu Yeqing was born to be a poisonous widow, and whoever sleeps with him will not die a good death. Those groundless legends about Zhu Yeqing also spread at that time. After Dong Liang's death, countless people in the entire city of Hangzhou coveted the assets he left behind, as well as the pretty widow Zhu Yeqing. No one thought that Zhu Yeqing, a woman, could protect Dong Liang's assets. But the result was beyond everyone's expectations. Zhu Yeqing not only saved Dong Liang's Jinding Group, but also made it bigger than what he had done back then. In 3 years, Zhu Yeqing became a woman that no one in Hangzhou dared to mess with. To be able to do all this, no one knows what Zhu Yeqing has paid. Zhu Yeqing now has a lot of assets, and she doesn't even care about the income from a bar. But the Qingliang bar has been kept. I think it's because she is still thinking about her dead husband. I'll leave the bar to you. I won't interfere. If you can stand firm there, it's your own ability. If you can't stand firm, it's your own incompetence. I won't help you with anything. Zhu Yeqing looked at me and said lightly. I nodded, knowing what she meant. Although the bar was handed over to me to manage, how to run it depends on me. Zhu Yeqing will not help me. But even so, I am already very satisfied. The income of a bar is definitely considerable, at least much better than my current job as a masseur. I'll let Xiaohua take you there tomorrow. Zhu Yeqing said as he leaned back in his chair, his eyes dim, and no one knew what he was thinking. Xiaohua. I was stunned. It's the bald guy, his name is Li Xiaohua. Zhu Yeqing said with a smile. Li Xiaohua. When I heard the name, I almost cried out. I could never have imagined that the 1.9-meter tall bald strong man would have such a feminine name. The name is such a contrast compared to his image. Zhu Yeqing looked out the window again, and I knew it was time for me to leave. I was just about to stand up and say goodbye to Zhu Yeqing when my eyes inadvertently glanced at her desk. The layout of the desk is simple, with only a photo in front. In the photo, Zhu Yeqing was still wearing a bright red cheongsam with a bright red flower in her hair, and she was nestling in a man's arms with a happy look on her face. This should be her wedding photo. But the next moment, I stared at the man in the photo and froze in place. The man in the photo smiled faintly and looked at me quietly. His face looked exactly like mine. Chapter 23 A Man Who Looks Like Me. The man in the photo looks exactly like me. What is going on? I stared at the photo so hard that even my breathing became rapid. No matter who you are, it would be difficult to remain calm if you suddenly see someone who looks exactly like you. What's more, this man also took a wedding photo with Zhu Yeqing. I stared at the photo and felt extremely weird. I didn't know what was going on. But upon closer inspection, the man in the photo doesn't look exactly like me. Although that face looks 90% similar to me, there is a sharpness in those eyes, like a pair of eagle eyes. Zhu Yeqing turned his head, said nothing, and just looked at me quietly. Who is this? I asked her in a hoarse voice. The man in the photo looked so much like me that I couldn't keep calm. He is my husband, Dong Liang. Zhu Yeqing said lightly. How is this possible? How can this be possible? Why does he look so much like me? I said in disbelief. Zhu Yeqing looked at me, sighed, and then said, I also find it a little unbelievable that there are two people in this world who are so similar. Zhu Yeqing looked at me with an indescribable look in his eyes. After the initial shock, I finally came to my senses, took a look at Zhu Yeqing, and understood everything. No wonder Sister Lan took the initiative to ask me to go to the club, and no wonder Zhu Yeqing was the only customer I served in the club. So that's the reason, it's because I look very similar to her dead husband. Why are he and I so similar? Could it be that we have been separated for many years? At this moment, my mind couldn't help but flash through the melodramatic scenes that only appear in movies or novels, and I wondered if Dong Liang and I were twin brothers who had been separated for many years. I have already investigated your background. You have nothing to do with him. You just look alike. Zhu Yeqing seemed to know what I was thinking and spoke to me indifferently. No relation, just look alike. I glanced at Zhu Yeqing and was not surprised that she was investigating me. And I know very well that with her ability, it is not difficult to find out whether Dong Liang and I have any relationship. So Dong Liang and I really just look alike. I felt a little dazed, as if I were dreaming. How could there be two people in this world who look so similar? Okay, don't think too much about it. You and him just look alike. That doesn't mean anything. At this time Zhu Yeqing spoke again, but her tone had become somewhat cold. I calmed myself down and understood what she meant. She was telling me not to dwell on the fact that I looked like her dead husband. She was warning me not to dwell on useless things. I have always been a very sensible person. After hearing her words, I nodded and said, "Then I'll leave first, Mr. Zhu." Zhu Yeqing nodded gently and said, "Wait at the club tomorrow." Yeah. I got up and left. After leaving Zhu Yeqing's office, I let out a long sigh of relief. The doubts in my heart were finally answered. It turned out that the inexplicable fate between me and Zhu Yeqing was just because Dong Liang and I looked very similar. There is actually someone who looks so much like me. I smiled bitterly and shook my head, still finding it a little unbelievable. In the corridor, a bald man named Li Xiaohua walked over and grinned when he saw me. Although his smile looked sincere, that image still made my hair stand on end. I guess the guy just now had his leg broken by him. I quickly nodded to him and left Zhu Yeqing's company. Inside the office, Zhu Yeqing stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the Qiantang River in the distance, wondering what he was thinking. Li Xiaohua pushed the door open and then closed it gently. Zhu Yeqing turned around, glanced at Li Xiaohua, and asked him, "Have you dealt with Liu Qing's matter?" Li Xiaohua raised his hand, touched his bald head, and grinned. He was tempted because Zhao Sihai promised to buy him a villa in Beijing. I have broken his legs and had him thrown into the Sihai group. Yeah. Zhu Yeqing nodded and said nothing more. Zhao Sihai still has evil intentions towards you. Do you want me to teach him a lesson again? Li Xiaohua said with a murderous look on her face. That guy must be scared now, so it won't be easy to find him. Let's spare him this time. Zhu Yeqing said without comment. What did that little guy want? Li Xiaohua changed the subject and asked Zhu Yeqing with a smile. He didn't ask for anything, but asked me to make the decision. A smile appeared on Zhu Yeqing's lips. Oh, that's interesting. He's a smart man. Li Xiaohua laughed happily. I've handed the bar over to him. It depends on whether he has the ability to take it over. Zhu Yeqing said calmly. The bar has always been managed by Zhu Bo. It will be very difficult to squeeze him out. Li Xiaohuan touched his bald head and frowned. Then it's none of my business. He can't get the bar because he is incompetent. An incompetent person is not worthy of my respect. Zhu Yeqing said lightly. That guy looks really like Dong Liang. I hope he can also have the same skills as Dong Liang did back then. Li Xiaohua looked out the window and said lightly. Zhu Yeqing didn't say anything, but just frowned slightly. Of course I didn't know what they were talking about me. When I walked out of Zhu Yeqing's company, I couldn't control my excitement. Today's work is done. From tomorrow on, I will no longer be a masseur, but will have my own bar. In the past, I never dared to imagine that I would own a bar in Hangzhou. Today may be a turning point in my life. I vaguely feel that my future life may be a little different. I took a taxi and called Henyi on their way back to ask her if she had finished get off work and if she could have dinner together. Henyi said she would be off work soon and asked me to choose a place and send her the location. After some thought, I decided to go to the entrance of the community where we live. There are several small restaurants there, all of which look clean and, most importantly, are close to home. When we arrived at the restaurant, I ordered a few dishes first. They were all Henyi's favorites. We had been college classmates for many years, so I still remembered what she liked to eat. Henyi walked in just as the dishes were served, and his eyes lit up when he saw the dishes on the table. Oh, have you made a fortune? How can you afford to treat us to a meal? Henyi said to me deliberately mockingly. We are old classmates and haven't seen each other for several years. I shouldn't treat you to a meal. These are your favorite dishes. Come and try them and see how they taste. I said to Hanyi with a smile. It's rare that you still remember my taste. Hanyi glanced at me and sat down. Why, after all these years, your old classmates still remember your taste? Shouldn't you be a little excited? I joked with her. How are you acting? Do you still want me to marry you? Hanyi said as if jokingly. When I heard her words, I was stunned for a moment and looked at Hanyi. Hanyi also looked at me. We looked at each other and felt a little embarrassed. I saw her face turn slightly red and she lowered her head embarrassedly. I was just saying it casually, don't take it seriously. Hanyi explained in a low voice. I'm serious. I'm going to live with you today. I deliberately scared her. Chen Changan, I haven't seen you for a few years. You have really turned into a filthy hooligan. Hanyi pouted angrily. I laughed and asked her if she wanted to drink. Hanyi nodded. I asked her if she wanted white wine or beer. Hanyi said white wine. I went to the front desk, got a bottle of wine, and chatted with Hanyi while drinking. I didn't tell her what happened to me today, but just listened to her experiences abroad over the years. Before we knew it, the bottle of white wine had been finished by the two of us. Hanyi was already a little drunk, his cheeks were flushed, and the look in his eyes when he looked at me seemed to contain some indescribable expectation. Chapter 24. I have a man I like. Hanyi's alcohol tolerance is not that good, but at least he is much better than that woman Mu Xiewan. After drinking half a pound of wine, although his eyes were a little blurry, he was not drunk. I went to the front desk to pay the bill and walked out of the hotel with Hanyi. The lights were just coming on, and under the dim light, Hanyi's snow-white skin looked even more delicate. Due to the alcohol, her face was slightly red, making her look indescribably charming. Chen Changan, I feel a little dizzy. As soon as he walked out of the restaurant, Hanyi held his forehead with his hand and frowned slightly. If you can't drink, then don't drink so much. I sighed helplessly and reached out to support her. Hanyi seemed to be really drunk, and he almost leaned on me. I held her, felt the softness of her body, and smelled her fragrance, and suddenly I felt an inexplicable restlessness in my heart. When we got upstairs, I helped Hanyi take out the access card and swiped open her door. You've drunk too much. Go take a shower and go to bed. I helped her into their house, then let go of her hand and said to her. It's still early, why don't you come in and chat for a while? I have beer at home, you can drink some. Hanyi said to me with a smile. Sister, aren't you drunk? I said. Who said I was drunk? That little bit of liquor can't make me drunk. Hanyi smiled. You were pretending just now. Looking at her expression, I finally understood that she was not drunk at all, and she was just pretending just now. Of course, I wanted to test you to see if you are really a pervert and whether you would touch me when I am drunk. Very good, you passed the test. Hanyi looked proud. As she spoke, she took off her shoes and walked barefoot on the floor. Her feet were glowing white, her toes were slender and long, and her plump toenails were dyed a light pink. Her delicate toes seemed to carry all kinds of charm. Come in and sit down. I'll go change my clothes first. Hanyi said this and walked straight into the bedroom. I also walked into the room, closed the door, and sat on the sofa. After a while, Hanyi changed into a loose white shirt with a low collar, revealing a large area of white on his chest. She was wearing a pair of yoga pants, the tight pants outlined her long legs in perfect lines. Seeing her appearance, I couldn't help but gasp, thinking who the hell can withstand this? What are you looking at, you pervert? My burning gaze made Hanyi a little shy, and she blushed and gave me a cold look. Why, you're so beautiful but you don't want to let people see you, my beautiful Han. I couldn't control myself and started to talk nonsense again. Humph, since you can talk, I won't bother with you. Hanyi snorted, turned around and walked to the refrigerator, opened the refrigerator door, and asked me, what kind of beer do you want to drink? I shrugged and said, anything is fine. Well, I only have the deadly Da Wusu here, hee hee. Hanyi said as he took out 2 bottles of beer and a bag of shelled peanuts. I was a little speechless, thinking to myself, you only have one kind of beer here, why are you asking me this? Hanyi took the opener, opened a bottle of beer and handed it to me. He also opened a bottle for himself and raised it to clink with mine. Come, have a sip. She said, tilting her head back and taking a big gulp. Aren't you afraid that I'll drink too much and lose control at your house? I asked her while holding the bottle of wine without drinking. Henny nodded seriously and said, well, alcohol can make people lose control, and it's normal for you to lose control when you're with a beauty like me. Then why did you let me drink at your house? I felt like my cerebellum was atrophying a little. I'm not worried. You have the intention, but I don't think you have the courage. Young man, consider it for at least 3 years. As Henny spoke, he gently touched my cheek. Damn, it turned out you were waiting for me here. I smiled bitterly, shook my head and looked at Henny. Her face turned red again when I stared at her, and she moved back a little scared. What are you going to do, Chen Changan? I advise you not to be impulsive. Henny said while protecting his chest with his hands. What are you thinking? Do you really think I'm a gangster? I shook my head. Then why are you staring at me? You can tell from your eyes that I have bad intentions. Henny didn't believe it at all. I feel like you're different now than you were before. I smiled and said to her. What's different? Henny let down his guard and asked curiously. When I was in school, Henny impressed me as not only pretty but also cool. At that time, I don't know how many boys pursued her, but few of them could talk to her. In my impression, Henny has always been a very introverted girl who never jokes with others. And now she looks much more cheerful than before. I think your personality is different from before. You've become much more cheerful, I said. Oh, I thought that. People always change. After so many years, I can't remain the same. Henny said without comment. Yes, he has changed a lot and grown up. As I said this, my eyes involuntarily fell on Henny's chest. Henny didn't notice it at first, but when he saw my gaze, he became angry and picked up the pillow and threw it at me. You bastard, where are you looking? Henny said angrily. No, I didn't look at it. I just got distracted accidentally. I said to Henny while dodging the flying pillow. HMPH, you look like a pervert. I won't believe you. Henny rolled his eyes. Drink. I smiled awkwardly, picked up the bottle and drank it in one gulp. Drinking with beautiful women is good, but it is easy to get distracted and get hot. I'm talking about the heat inside. By the way, I noticed that you have become not only cheerful now, but also seem to be happy every day. Have you encountered some happy things from time to time, or have you found the man you like? I joked to Henny. Henny glanced at me, his expression became a little serious, and he nodded to me. What? No way, you really have a man you like? I said to Henny in disbelief. Of course. Henny rolled his eyes. Come on, tell me which guy is so lucky to be noticed by our beautiful Han. It would be better if you could bring out his photo so I can help you check it. I said with a smile. Henny stared at me, not knowing what he was thinking. I raised my hand and waved it in front of her eyes. Hey, what are you thinking about? I'm asking you a question. Tell me, which guy is so lucky? Henny lowered his head, his face slightly red. Oh, you're still shy. It turns out you're in love. Tell me who it is. I joked. HMPH, I won't tell you. Henny turned his head and ignored me. Chapter 25, Only smart people can live longer. It's fine if you don't tell me, but be careful. There are so many scumbags in society nowadays. Don't let others take advantage of you. I said jokingly. HMPH, do you think I'm that kind of love-brained little girl? Henny rolled his eyes at me in dissatisfaction. I smiled. Henny has always been very outstanding. When she was in school, countless boys tried all kinds of means to pursue her, but none of them succeeded. So I really don't need to worry about this. I'm just concerned about you. I'm afraid you'll run into bad people. I said with a smile. Even if there is a bad guy in my room now, I'm not afraid. Henny said with a smile. It's different for me. Aren't we old classmates? Even if I want to, I can't do it because we are too familiar with each other. I said jokingly. Chen Changan, what if I say that the person I like is you? Henny suddenly looked serious and looked at me straight. I looked at Henny's eyes and was stunned. My cerebellum suddenly shrank. She likes me, how is this possible? Among my classmates, Henny is always the best one. Although I also think she is beautiful, I have never had any other thoughts about her. Because I know in my heart that I am not worthy of her, so I won't have any unrealistic thoughts. I know that thinking too much can cause pain in the balls. So after graduation, Jiu Miao and I got together because I felt we were a perfect match. But I never expected that in the end Jiu Miao would knit me a little green hat and make me lose face in front of my classmates. I think I'm a little off track. I shook my head and looked at Han Yi in disbelief. Are you serious? I tried to ask her. Har 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 har. I looked at him in disbelief, and Han Yi suddenly burst into laughter, bending over with laughter. Don't take it seriously, I was just joking with you. Han Yi, who was tired of laughing, stopped, blinked at me and said. I breathed a sigh of relief and smiled bitterly. It turned out to be a joke. How could she possibly like me? I don't know why, but I have an indescribable feeling of emptiness in my heart. We drank 2 bottles of beer. Han Yi's alcohol tolerance is really good and he was always sober. Although he didn't drink much, we talked a lot. But most of the time it was Han Yi who was talking, and I just sat there quietly as a qualified listener. Han Yi seemed to have a desire to talk, and told me all about her experiences abroad in the past few years. I also know that she hasn't had a good life in recent years. At least she has put in a lot of effort to succeed. And I also knew a private secret of hers: she has never been in a relationship, until now. I looked at Han Yi with some surprise, and even suspected that she was with Lily. We talked late that night and I didn't return to my room until 2 in the morning. I didn't get up until after 10 o'clock the next morning. I looked at my phone and saw a message from Han Yi. She said she had already gone to work. I got up, washed, went to the door, had a quick breakfast, and went to the Yunqian club. Zhu Yeqing asked me to wait for her here today. At around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the door of the technician's lounge was pushed open, and the person who came in was not Sister Lan, but Li Xiaohua, the one with a bold tattoo. He smiled at me and asked me to follow him. I knew that he was going to take me to the Qingliang bar in Xiaxia. Zhu Yeqing promised me yesterday that this bar would be mine from now on. After leaving the club, Zhu Yeqing's SUV was parked at the door. Li Xiaohua sat in the driver's seat and motioned me to sit next to him. As soon as I got in the car, he started the car and drove towards Xiaxia district. You are very good. Over the years, there are very few people she likes. While driving, Li Xiaohua turned around and said to me with a smile. I smiled bitterly. I never thought that I would have any intersection with Zhu Yeqing in this life. I never imagined that I would look so much like her dead husband. Destiny is something that is really hard to understand. I looked at the scenery outside the window, and couldn't help feeling deeply moved. The bar has a pretty good turnover, but it's not that easy to get it. At this time, Li Xiaohua, who was driving, looked at me and said. What did he mean? Was there something else going on in that bar that I didn't know about? Brother Xiaohua, please tell me the reason behind this. I said respectfully to Li Xiaohua. This bar has always been managed by someone. That person's name is Zhubo. Li Xiaohua turned around and smiled at me. Zhubo. I frowned when I heard the name. It is definitely not a coincidence that he and Zhu Yeqing share the same surname Zhu. This Zhubo and Mr. Zhu. I asked him tentatively. He is also a member of the Zhu family, but he is a distant relative of the Zhu family and can be considered as Mr. Zhu's cousin. Li Xiaohua said lightly. Hearing this, I took a deep breath and immediately understood what Li Xiaohua meant. The bar was originally managed by Zhubo, so if I go there now, wouldn't that be stealing food from someone else's business? The most important thing is that I am going to take over the bar and squeeze out Zhubo. That would be a situation of life and death, and only one of us is destined to stay. Zhubo is a member of the Zhu family and a distant cousin of Zhu Yeqing. What can I use to fight him? Don't worry. Although Zhubo is Mr. Zhu's cousin, they don't have any connection. Just go ahead and do it. Besides, the cash flow of the bar has been unclear in the past few years. Even though Mr. Zhu doesn't care, it doesn't mean she is not aware of it. Li Xiaohua said to me. I glanced at Li Xiaohua, and he had a faint smile on his face. I pondered his words in my mind. He revealed 2 pieces of information to me. Although Zhubo also had the surname Zhu, he did not seem to have a close relationship with Zhu Yeqing. Another thing is that the bar's accounts over the years are unclear. Why did Li Xiaohua tell me this? I pondered for a moment and immediately understood what it meant. He told me that after going to the bar, I don't need to worry about the relationship between Zhubo and Zhu Yeqing, and asked me to just go for it and compete boldly with Zhubo. There is another important reason. Although Zhu Yiqing does not think highly of Zhu Bo, he is a member of Zhu's family after all. So I cannot be too drastic. If things get out of hand, it will not look good for Zhu Yiqing. He said there was something wrong with the bar's accounts, which was a disguised way of telling me that if they wanted to squeeze Zhu Bo out, they would have to tamper with the accounts. The bar's accounts were not clean, and Zhu Yiqing would not publicly check Zhu Bo's accounts for the sake of face. Besides, she did not care about the income of a bar. But if I can find evidence that Zhu Bo falsified the accounts and expose it to Zhu Yiqing, then Zhu Bo will have to leave. Thank you, Brother Xiaohua. After figuring out the reason, I said to Li Xiaohua sincerely. Li Xiaohua grinned, yes, you are a smart person. Only smart people can live long in this world. I hope you can continue to be smart in the future. He looked ahead, as if he was thinking about something. Chapter 26 being excluded. Although Li Xiaohua has given me some hints, I still have no idea what to do. Zhu Bo has been running this bar for several years. This is his territory and I guess all the people here are his. As an outsider, what can I do to fight him? If you want to find evidence of Zhu Bo's corruption, you must find the account book. Such an important job as finance must be handled by Zhu Bo's own people. It is almost impossible for me to get the account book. Thinking about these, the initial excitement suddenly disappeared. This is simply a hot potato. I knew that it wouldn't be easy to get something from Zhu Yiqing. She can give it to you, but if you want to really get it, you have to fight for it yourself. But I just arrived and I'm alone, how can I compete with Zhu Bo? About half an hour later, the car stopped right in front of the bar. I got out of the car and took a look at the name of the bar, Qingliang Bar, which was exactly here. Standing at the door was a young man wearing a grey suit, with blonde hair and looking unkempt. Seeing Li Xiaohua getting off the car, he quickly came up to her with a big smile on his face. Hello, Brother Xiaohua, it's been a long time since we last met. You must have fun at my place today. He gave Li Xiaohua a flattering smile, but he didn't even look at me. Li Xiaohua said with a straight face, I have something else to do and will be leaving soon. Mr. Zhu should have called you. This is Chen Chang'an. He will be the manager here from now on. Li Xiaohua said this and looked at me. Zhu Bo then turned around, stretched out his hand with a fake smile, and shook hands with me. Hey, Brother Chen, hello, hello. I also shook hands with him gently and exchanged a few words with a smile. Okay, I've brought the people here. You guys can interact with them more. I still have to go back. Li Xiaohua said as she opened the car door. Brother Xiaohua, why are you in such a hurry to leave? I have already arranged the place, just come and have fun. Zhu Bo hurriedly tried to please Li Xiaohua and keep him. No. Li Xiaohua seemed to dislike this gangster-looking guy a little bit. She didn't say anything polite to him. She got into the car directly and drove out with her foot on the accelerator. Zhu Bo stared at the rear of the car for a moment, the unhappiness on his face swept away, and he immediately turned around and looked at me with a smile on his face, but the smile on this guy's face looked very hypocritical no matter how you looked at it. Brother Chen, I knew you were coming, so I've been waiting at the door for a long time. Come on, go inside. I've asked someone to clean up the office for you. Zhu Bujia said to me politely. I nodded to him and walked into the bar with him. Although the bar looks a bit old from the outside, the interior is well decorated. There are about 20 to 30 booths, as well as some high-end private rooms. I originally wanted to take a tour first, but Zhu Bo didn't seem to have any intention of showing me around. He smiled and said to me, Brother Chen, your office is on the 3rd floor. Why don't you go take a look first? I nodded and went up to the 3rd floor with him. But just as he went upstairs, Zhu Bo's phone rang. He answered the call, told the person on the other end that he would be down right away, and then hung up. Brother Chen, I have something else to do. Your office is the innermost one, so I won't accompany you in. Zhu Bo said with a wry smile. Then you go ahead and do your work, I'll go in by myself. I nodded to him. Zhu Bo smiled, turned around and walked down the stairs. I came to the room at the end of the corridor and opened the door. The moment I opened the door, a strong smell of damp and mold hit my nose. The room was very small, with only a desk, a boss chair, and a sofa, nothing else. The walls of the entire room were in a dilapidated state, with the paint cracked in many places. I don't know how long it had been abandoned. This isn't even an office, it's just a storage room, they just moved all the stuff out and gave me a desk. Looking at the room, I frowned. Although I had the urge to curse, it didn't make me angry. I had already prepared myself mentally in the car. After all, I came here to compete with Jubo and steal his food on his turf. It would be impossible for Jubo to be nice to me. But I never thought that this guy would be so ruthless as to arrange my office in the utility room. At the beginning, he didn't let me visit the place. I knew what he was thinking. He was announcing to me that this was his territory and it was not my turn as an outsider to give orders. As for my desire to replace him and take control of this place, it is simply wishful thinking. I walked to the desk and sat on the chair. Listening to the creaking sound coming from below, I couldn't help but smile bitterly. Jubo did it on purpose. His purpose was to make me give up and leave immediately. He was telling me that I could never beat him. I took out a cigarette and lit one for myself. Jubo wants to exclude me, but that is impossible. I've gone through so much trouble to get this opportunity. If I just leave in such disgrace, I'll curse myself as a waste. Besides, I can't even stay here, so I don't have the face to ask Ju Yeching for anything. So I had no choice but to stay. Not only that, I had to squeeze Jubo out, and then take complete control of this place. Jubo, since you like to play, I will play with you. I exhaled a puff of smoke and sneered. This place used to be a real bar, but after Jubo's development, he added more than a dozen private rooms on the second floor, which is actually almost the same as a KTV. I sat in my office till dark, and no one but myself, not even the dog, came to my door. Jubo was isolating me on purpose. It must have been him who gave the order, preventing anyone from getting close to me. Seeing that it was completely dark and the night show was just starting to fill up, I walked down from the third floor and took a walk around the venue. Customers have started to arrive now. There are quite a few people sitting in the booths on the first floor, and even several waves of customers have come to the private rooms on the second floor. The princesses and waiters in the place started to get busy. I walked around and no one paid any attention to me. I was not angry. First, I just arrived today and these people didn't know me. Second, they ignored me, which must have been instructed by Jubo. What are you doing? Let me go, let me go. I was strolling around the second floor and was about to return to my deserted office on the third floor when a girl shouted loudly at the door of the front room. I looked over and saw a bald man pulling a girl in a short skirt at the door of the private room. The bald man was obviously drunk. He was a little tipsy and pulled the girl's arm. Fuck, why are you pretending? You don't want to perform. I'll do it to you here, but it doesn't count as performing. As soon as the bald man's words came out, a burst of laughter suddenly rang out in the box. Chapter 27, Establishing Authority. Brother Kuan, this is a formal occasion, and the girls don't want to go out, you can't do this. At this time, a male waiter walked out of the crowd and bowed to bald Brother Kuan. Get lost, it's her blessing that I like her, who the hell do you think you are? The bald man was obviously drunk and used to being arrogant. He slapped the male waiter in the face, knocking him back a few steps. If you dare to talk nonsense to me again, I will destroy you. The bald man pulled the girl's hair and was about to walk towards the box. The girl yelled, Liu Liang, save me, go find Brother Bo. I could see that the waitress and the male waiter who had just been beaten were probably a couple, so the boy stood up for her. The girl asked him to find Brother Bo. Of course, he went to find Jubo. The boy who was slapped just smiled bitterly, with a hint of determination in his eyes. I went to look for him, but Brother Bo wouldn't stand up for us. He shouted at the bald man, Bald Kuan, I'm going to fight you. After saying that, he rushed over with a desperate attitude. Oh, damn it, I think you are really tired of living. Bald Kuan, who was standing at the door and grabbing the girl's hair, sneered. Before the boy could rush up, two ruffian-looking young men rushed out of the room and knocked the male waiter to the ground with 3 punches and 2 kicks. Drag him in here. I'm going to have sex with his girlfriend in front of him. Bald Kuan sneered and ordered his men, and he dragged the girl into the box. There were quite a few waiters standing in the corridor, but no one dared to go up to help. It seemed that Bald Kuan had quite a reputation. I looked at the scene in front of me, said nothing, walked straight to the next room, grabbed a bottle of beer and rushed out. I decided to take action and teach that bald guy a lesson. I am not an impulsive person. If I saw this kind of scene somewhere else, I would probably turn around and leave. But it's different now, because this is my territory. That bastard Bald Cohen is causing trouble on my territory, and I must make him pay the price. Another point is that I just arrived at the place today and no one here knows me. If I can save both of them today, I can also gain a firm foothold in the place and at least let everyone know that I am not a coward. Although things will be difficult to deal with after beating Bald Cohen, fortune and fame come in danger, and I have no way out. In addition, I am also betting that if that bald guy really wants to take revenge on me in the future, I don't believe that Zhu Yeqing will stand idly by. I took the bottle of wine and rushed directly to the door. At this time, Bald Cohen was pulling the girl into the box. I patted his shoulder, and Bald Cohen turned around and looked at me with a puzzled look. Bald Cohen, right? I'm going to teach you a lesson today on behalf of your parents. Bald Cohen opened his eyes wide, and before he could react, I raised the bottle in my hand and smashed it on his head. With a crisp sound, the wine bottle exploded directly on his bald head, and glass fragments flew everywhere. I smashed a hole on Bald Cohen's smooth bald head, and blood immediately flowed out, sliding down his head and onto his face. Everyone was stunned at this moment. Even Bald Cohen covered his head and was stunned for a long time before he yelled and pointed at me, "Where the hell did you come from, you little bastard? How dare you hit me? Kill him!" At this moment, everyone reacted. The girl who was caught by him at the beginning hid aside trembling. The two thugs let go of the male waiter and rushed towards me with angry faces. I think I'm pretty good at fighting. If I'm in a spacious place, alone against 3 people, even if I can't win, I can at least run away. You know, I was the short-distance running champion in school. But I can't run away in this situation, I have to keep the situation under control. If I just run away after playing, then all my play would be in vain. I glanced at Bald Cohen and sneered. This guy was obviously stunned by the blow I threw at him with a wine bottle. He just kept shouting and forgot to stay away from me. To catch a thief, you must first catch the leader. As long as you subdue him, you can also calm the situation. I took the half-broken beer bottle and put it directly against his neck. Damn it, if you don't want him to die, stop right now. I put the half-broken bottle on Bald Cohen's neck, turned around and shouted to his 2 younger brothers. Bald Cohen is also a coward. He almost peed himself when he saw the bottle of wine in my hand. Don't come over here, don't come over here. Bald Cohen quickly shouted to his 2 younger brothers. The 2 younger brothers stopped and looked at me warily. Brother, who are you? Haven't you heard of my name, Bald Cohen? Bald Cohen didn't dare to move because I held a wine bottle against his neck. However, he still pretended to be calm and asked me. Who am I? My name is Chen Changan, and I'm the manager of this place, so this is my territory. You dare to cause trouble in my territory, aren't you afraid of death? I looked at Bald Cohen coldly, stretched out my other hand and gently slapped him twice on the face. I know that to deal with these ruffians, you have to act more ruthless than them. If you show any weakness, these guys will become more arrogant. If you act more cruel than them, they will be as obedient as quails. I stared at Bald Cohen with murderous intent on my face, and gently scratched his neck with the half-broken bottle in my hand. The broken glass cut his skin and blood immediately flowed out. I am telling Bald Cohen not to move, otherwise I will really kill him. Sure enough, cold sweat immediately broke out on Bald Cohen's head, and he didn't know whether it was because of fear or pain. You are the manager here. Isn't this Zhu Bo's territory? Bald Cohen asked me with a puzzled look on his face and trembling. I smiled, glanced at the waiters around me, and nodded to them as a greeting. I forgot to tell you that I just came here today. It was arranged by General Manager Zhu. From now on, I will be the manager here. What, Mr. Zhu, which Mr. Zhu? Bald Cohen's pupils shrank and he asked me carefully. Which Mr. Zhu are you talking about? Of course it's Mr. Zhu Yeqing. I deliberately spoke a little louder to ensure that everyone present could hear me. Sure enough, as soon as I said this, the waiters and princesses who were watching in the venue began to whisper and discuss something. Are you Mr. Zhu's man? My words obviously stunned Bald Cohen, and he looked at me with a bit of awe. In Hangzhou, the reputation of Zhu Yeqing, the poisonous widow, is so huge and legendary that gangsters like Guangtou Cohen would never dare to offend her even if they were beaten to death. You don't need to worry about who I belong to. I just hope that you won't come to my place to cause trouble again, or I will beat you up every time I see you. Remember. As I spoke, I gently patted Bald Cohen's cheek. Now in terms of momentum, I completely crush him. Zhu Yiqing's name is so big that if I want to use it, I naturally have to completely intimidate him. I'll remember this and never dare to cause trouble again. Bald Kuan gritted his teeth and bowed his head to apologize. I am very satisfied with your attitude. I smiled, dropped the bottle in my hand, and said, get lost. Bald Kuan didn't dare to stay any longer, and immediately walked out with his two younger brothers in disgrace. Remember, go to the front desk to settle today's consumption, I said from behind. Bald Kuan paused for a moment, said nothing, and just hurried downstairs. Okay, everyone go away and do what you need to do. I waved my hand and said to the people around me. I know that I performed well just now, even a little handsome, at least I have impressed everyone. The onlookers dispersed, leaving only the girl and the male waiter who was beaten. The two of them looked at me and walked over to me in fear. Are you really the new Mr. Chen? The boy asked me carefully. I nodded and looked at him carefully. His face was covered with bruises. Bald Kuan's two subordinates had hit him pretty hard. Damn, I forgot to ask them to pay for the medical expenses. I feel a little regretful. Of course. I nodded. Thank you, Mr. Chen. My name is Liu Liang and this is my girlfriend Xiero, he said as he pulled the girl. The two men bowed to me, and Liu Liang said excitedly, Mr. Chen, you saved us today. From now on, I, Liu Liang, will be yours. If you have any problems in the future, just tell me. Liu Liang and Xiao Ru looked grateful and spoke sincerely. I looked at the two of them and then laughed. Their gratitude is sincere, so from now on, I have my own people in this place.